what's up, everyone? It is Shannon, and it's Sunday, which means it's time to wind down your weekend. I am not coming to you live from Bat City Comic Professionals. We are sneak attacking you, and we are actually over in Sarasota at Mysterium Escape Rooms, and I've got with me Nick, the man behind the mystery of the escape rooms. What's up, Nick?
Nice to meet everybody. I'm glad to be part of the Bat City family.
I know,
officially now.
You are back.
After hounding you guys for several weeks, I finally got in.
Yes.
I am Nicholas. I am the store manager here at Mysterium Escape Rooms. We are Florida's only escape room, virtual reality, and bar hybrid. The only one in all of Florida. That is, take that to the bank.
Really?
Literally,
That's amazing.
the only one. Mm-hmm. So we do escape rooms. Obviously, that's our main business. We have 3 currently. We are working on a 4th one. Behind us is some classic arcade cabinets. They have about 1,300 classic games on them. Pretty much anything that was an arcade game between 1980 and maybe 2002 is on there, but also not owned by Nintendo because they will sue my pants off. We also do virtual reality, 2 to 6 player virtual reality. So that's the 6 player VR is new. We only used to be able to do up to 4, so the 6 player one is brand new. And we have full service bar for the adults that come by. And we also dabble in some food. Like I told you guys before, I do come from a background in culinary, so I do make some pretty amazing pizza. So come on down and get some pizza.
I'm always in for pizza. Pizza is always that's a selling point for me. Like you're like, come here and get pizza, and I'm like, yes, I'm here.
That's not to take away from the amazing pizza you find here on Main Street, though. They do it way better than I can, but. You know, for the sake of the stream, I make the best pizza in town. Yeah, that's what we do here. A little bit about my escape rooms. I do Tiki Trouble. It's my original escape room. It is a Hawaiian-themed escape room. It's our more medium difficulty escape room. Area 941 is my largest escape room right now, at least until Freak shows up. It is a sci-fi alien-themed escape room. You will need at least 3 people to play this escape room. You can't do it with any less, unless you're Phil. Phil, I'm going to let him do it all by himself. See if he can break that 1 hour and 41 minute record that the other guy sent. And Wild Wild West is my only escape room that I didn't physically build. It is what you call a prefab escape room. So there are 2 types of escape rooms. I don't want to waste too much of your time, but a homebrew escape room is an escape room that you make in-house by yourself. The benefit is that it saves you quite a bit of money. Whereas a prefab escape room is a very expensive escape room you purchase from another company. The positives to that is it goes up very quickly, whereas my escape rooms take me anywhere between 3 months to a year and a half to make. So, but we prefer homebrew. Right? We're currently building Freak Show. Yes, it will be a 90-minute long horror experience. It will feature a live actor. That live actor will probably be me. So get used to seeing this face. But yeah, that's what we're doing. I'm building a 5th escape room, where we're building a 5th escape room called Robot Toy Factory. It will be our attempt at a very child-friendly escape room. I know me and you are both big on child-friendly content. That one will be pretty cool because it's supposed to be like a working factory floor where you build portions of a robot.
So when Phil can't do Area 941 by himself, is Robot Toy Factory next in line?
Absolutely. I'll let him solo that one.
We went into the Tiki Trouble the other day, and I was like, I would just be like, you could just leave me here. I don't need to solve the puzzle. It's so calming in there, because it's like sitting at a tiki bar, and you have like the Hawaiian scape on the room, and I was like, I don't actually need to solve any puzzles. I'll just chill here forever.
Fun fact about Tiki Trouble, it was at one point the contents of inside the escape room. I used to take them, and we would have a 12-person tent, and we would take them to college campuses, schools, and we would set this 12-person tent up, and we would make an escape room inside of the tent, and we would do 30-minute long escape room experiences inside this 12-person tent.
That's crazy.
That's how that room got started. Yep.
That's amazing. And how did you get started in escape rooms?
I was actually, so I'm from Las Vegas. I actually came here on vacation to do some VR. My friends are all lazy individuals. They didn't want to do anything with me that day, so I came down here to play some VR. I ended up playing 6.5 hours of VR.
Oh my god.
In one shot, and got to talking to Michael. He's the store owner, and the rest is history.
And
the rest is history.
And did you never go back at all?
Oh, I went back, and I was like, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I want a job. And I moved out 2 weeks later and got the job.
God, that's amazing.
Went home, told my boss. I worked for a place called Lumine's Place in Vegas. It was a restaurant. And I was like, dude, I'm out. I'm doing this escape room thing.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. What's the best day to come? If I want to come over and do the escape room, I'm here in Florida. What's the day where it's like, this is the day I'm going to get in? Or like, this is the day that I'm going to...
So I would say a weekday. Monday through Thursday are, I don't want to say slow times for us, but they are slower days than our weekends, obviously. I do offer discounts if you come in and you mention this stream Monday through Thursday, or you bring in your Bat City receipt.
Yes.
You get 20% off an escape room attempt. I try not to do it on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays because that is the days I usually stay pretty booked. Obviously, right now the space is empty because you guys are here.
We are. Yeah.
But yeah, you're going to want to do it on the weekdays if you want the discount. If not, visit my website, www.mysteriumescaperooms.com. I know it's very long, but URLs are expensive. So go onto my website, pick a booking, pay for your booking, and come on in. We'd love to host you.
All right. Yay. And we'll have to do a follow-up experience of whether or not Phil makes it through Area 94. And I thought about just locking him in there while I did the stream by myself and seeing if I could get through all the books before Phil could get through the challenges.
We should stream live from Bat City Comics, Phil attempting an escape room.
Yes. It's gonna happen. But thank you, Nick. Thank you for letting us come and hang out here, and thanks for telling everybody about it. And we'll probably mention it a few more times of where we are tonight.
Nice.
So come out and
great to be part of the family.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
All right, and as always, I'm Shannon. I am Small Press Shann, and I've got Wednesday Phil here with me, who is grabbing some special juice for his thing. But we are going to be winding down your weekend talking about all of this week's newest indie comics that came out. We're going to go over some of the new number ones, some of our favorites ongoing, and of course our picks of the week. We are going to be doing it while drinking this bottle of Freak Show wine, courtesy of Mysterium, and in honor of their new escape room that is going to be opening up in 3 weeks.
2.5 to 3 weeks.
2.5 to 3 weeks. So if you want to come check out that new escape room that Nick was just telling us about, that's going to have the live actor and the incredible horror experience and a lot of really cool stuff. I've gotten a sneak peek. It's incredible. It's going to be amazing. It's definitely terrifying. So we're going to drink this wine and pretend that we are in Freak Show right now. Here's a glass for you.
Thank you.
Here's
Is this one we've had before?
I think we might have. I don't remember.
Oh, it's delicious.
It's delicious.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
See, again, it's all about that acid reflux feeling, and I didn't get that with this.
Right. And this is a cab sav, though, which is usually ones that bug you, but
No,
this is...
I thought it was the Tempernios.
Those really
We
bother
also
me.
make a white Zin
But-
version we sell it too.
Ooh, nice. So if you
We're
want...
not allowed to drink white wine on here, supposedly.
That's right.
That's a Shannon rule.
It could actually be chilled here, though, so we might have actually been able to do it. But I love this. This is delicious and perfectly timed. I like that it has... I'm going to turn this around, Matt. Yeah. I like that it has an Omit One ticket for the Freak Show on the back, so when you're checking out the wine, you can... you have your ticket. You're ready to go. So I don't know if you can bring this down, this ticket off the back of your wine bottle and try to get it into Mysterium, but, maybe mention it, that you saw it on the show, and you'll get that 20% off discount Monday through Thursday. But Wednesday, Phil, what have you been up to this week? It's been a week since they've seen you. What's going on?
We went to that great Pittsburgh Pirates block party because spring training is just around the corner, which means baseball season is just around the corner.
February 25th, first day of spring training.
Yes, I am very excited. The pitchers and catchers have reported, and it was really cool. There was a live band and some vendors, and we got to meet 2 of the players, which was also really cool.
Yeah. And
get autographs, so I had a really fun time with that. Gets me just more excited. I also like that there's a lot of Pittsburgh Pirate fans down here.
Yeah.
I like that they show a lot of love for them and Orioles in Sarasota. Other than that, new season of South Park is out.
Nice.
So that's pretty much all I've been doing.
That's all you've been doing?
Yeah, that's really it. South Park and getting hyped for baseball.
And baseball season is here. We're super excited. We're so excited to be in this home of the Pittsburgh Pirates for spring training. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be exciting. We're definitely going to be hanging out with a bunch of the games. So you'll have to find Bat City at those Pittsburgh Pirate games, and of course the Bradenton Marauders games once the full season starts. So we're super stoked. So excited to have been able to go out to that last night. And now we get to talk about comics. So what a great 24 hours this will be. Yes. And we're at Mysterium, which is super cool.
Yeah, this place is really crazy. I think I've said here before, I've never done an escape room ever. I've seen the horror movie Escape Room, and that's my only experience. And then after maybe like 2 minutes of hearing Nick talk about it, I was like, okay, well now I'm kind of invested in this. Because, I mean, the suit alone, the dude is a showman.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I was so impressed, and he was using words that I was like, wow, you're sucking me in. And he was talking about how it's like a global thing in the history of escape rooms. And I was like, yeah, also this place is just cool.
Super dope. I cannot wait for Freak Show to open. It's going to be amazing.
I definitely want to do the alien one.
Yeah.
That one looks super cool.
Are you gonna dress like in a red shirt from Star Trek and be like, I might not make it out alive? I'm
gonna order a Star Trek uniform just to do the escape room.
I hope
we have 2 Star Trek references in that room.
Oh, there you go.
I've actually never watched Star Trek. My ex-wife used to watch. Is it Next Generation?
That is one of them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she used to watch that one. So I've seen like a few episodes, and then yeah, but. Maybe I'll just wear it just for the escape room.
Yeah. Well, cool. We are going to start talking about some of these comics so that we don't, keep Mysterium here and Nick here all night. So we're going to jump in with issue 3 of Art Brut from Image Comics. This is the return of the full creative team of Ice Cream Man working together on a series that they actually put out originally under a different title a few years back. Pre-Ice Cream Man days, and they always wanted it to come out and be called Art Brut, and they wanted to put this book out on Image and everything, and so they finally got a chance to actually put this book back out. So these 4 issues are kind of an expanded feature of Art Brut, and I'd never actually read it. I never saw the original incarnation of this book, but this is the story of a man who is an art investigator, I guess is a good way to say it. He works to help kind of solve mysteries that are all geared around paintings and different art things, but the way he does it is by going inside the painting. It kind of feels like an episode of Blue's Clues for adults almost, because he's like, oh, let's just like hop in here like Mary Poppins, like jumping into the paint, like the sidewalk chalk drawings with Bert, except he has a really cool partner and best friend in a little wooden mannequin who grows up to be an adult wooden mannequin and whenever they're on the other side of the painting. And what I absolutely love in this issue is it's all about the guy. It takes place in the screen painting, and it's all around the fact that the guy in the screen painting that's doing the scream is just the most neurotic person, and so anything that could possibly go wrong anywhere in the art world, he absolutely knows about it because he keeps up with being freaked out about things. And so they're like, hey, we need to know what's going on, we should jump into the scream. And it's so funny because then he's just like panicking the whole time. Love this book. It's so much fun. If you're a fan of Ice Cream Man, you're definitely gonna love this one because it just falls right back into that kind of existential dread, but this one gives us a little bit more of an ongoing story.
Yeah.
And it's only 4 issues, so we got one more after this.
That's
yeah.
it? Oh, I was looking forward to them building out this universe. Oh.
No, just the one more.
Hurts.
I'm hoping because since that's like we're redoing the series that we already have, that we'll get a second volume that's more of it or something.
Yeah.
But I'm going to pass this your way. It is Nightclub issue 3 from Image Comics, and
Yes.
Mark Millar's kind of return.
Yeah, this is one of the... Mark Millar has gotten back into comics heavily and is kind of building towards a big event featuring all of his characters. And this is Nightclub. This is a story of a kid who wants to be a YouTube star, And in the first issue, he pulls out a big stunt and ends up breaking like every bone in his body and almost dying essentially. And this guy comes along and bites him, turns him into a vampire, and is like, "Hey, I'm building an army. I'm not going to tell you what for, but I just need you to be ready." And so in that first issue, you get to see him kind of learn his different like skills and things that he has as a vampire, all the powers that come along with it. And then in the second issue, he's like, "Well, I guess I should just go ahead and bite my two best friends and turn them into vampires as well, because I mean, why not? And maybe we can be this like cool vigilante team." So the second issue is his two friends now getting to learn their powers. And in this issue, we finally get to see them put those powers to the test. They go out there, they fight some crimes, they kind of pick on the school bully some more. And of course, this attention that they are getting while making videos in these cool luchador masks, it kind of sets off some potential incoming villains who are like, "Hey, these guys are going around causing some problems and trying to get famous off of it, and you know, maybe we need to take care of this." So yeah, Nightclub 3 issues in. I think it's only going to be 4 issues as well, right?
It seems like we need at least 2 more, but I don't know. It could be only 4.
Yeah, because I think this and Nemesis Reloaded are both going to be 4-issue miniseries, if I'm not mistaken, and then they'll do the event once everything comes together.
Yeah.
But this is a fun book. I think if you kind of like the Spider-Man type superhero, where you know there's a lot of humor mixed in with these like fun, exciting fight sequences, then this is the book for you. It's really good, and I'm excited for Millar's event.
And it's only $1.99.
That's true.
This book is only $1.99, so
$1.99.
it is a fast seller when it comes in, because people are like, "Sure, why not? I'll check it out."
Yeah.
And I mean, we've already gotten second prints of issue 1 in, and I think they've already flown off the shelf as well. So it's one of those where you gotta get in there and tell everybody you're excited for it, because it is something that it's $1.99. Like, good Lord, it's back to like 90s prices almost on comics. From Whatnot's massive publishing line, we've got issue 3 of Quested. This is the story of the princess being in another castle, essentially. This is all about a guy who's kind of scamming all of the royals throughout all of the fantasy universes, and is like, "Oh, well, you don't want your princess to get kidnapped, do you? We saw that you received this notice. We come to make sure that the princess actually doesn't get kidnapped. Use our people and we'll keep her safe." And he kind of just been running all of these scams, because really he sends the note, and then his team kidnaps the fake, like has the fake villain that comes in and kidnaps everybody. But in this particular issue, he has ended up teaming up with someone who basically works as like a Chiron, like leading the dead across the like ferrying them across the water, and he's kind of like, "Oh, I gotta go figure out some stuff that's going on," and these two kind of team up together in a really weird way. This book is perfect if you're a fan of I Hate Fairyland. This has the same kind of art style, the same kind of humor. And so for those who are looking for something like I Hate Fairyland, or who maybe missed I Hate Fairyland and are like, "Okay, it's so far in, I want to start somewhere fresh," this kind of has that same feeling, and very similar art style even to what Scotty Young was doing in those volumes of I Hate Fairyland at the beginning. So
I do like the art in this book.
Yeah,
Definitely.
It's a lot of fun. From Image Comics, we have issue 3 of Hexware, which is Tim Seeley's new book. And this is the story of a robot, an android, who is a witchware. And her job is to kind of be the housekeeping robot, a kind of a C-3PO almost protocol droid, whose job is literally just to ask you which thing you would want or where you would want something to go and work in the house. But while she's doing that, the main family that she works for, who are like very prominent in this community, end up experiencing their house getting blown up, and like their daughter is killed in this explosion. And in the first issue, the daughter and the android the android is able to learn witchcraft and essentially like summon the spirit of the daughter back into her body. And so now the daughter is inside of this android, but nobody knows except for her best friend. And she's kind of trying to figure out like who killed her and how to stop them, but also just kind of give her parents some closure and be there for her parents in a way that she feels like she wasn't as their child, but also that she is capable of doing now that she is this android. It's a really cool story, but it's got a lot of really crazy layers that every time I read a new issue, I'm like, do I remember how that connects to this? So I have to kind of go back and like think for a second on where she was in her last battle and her last investigation, because there's a lot of different layers going into this story. But if you're a fan of Tim Seeley and monsters, which I feel like if you're a fan of Tim Seeley, you are a fan of monsters, then you should jump into this, because this is issue 3. It's still time to play along.
I want a Jenny Frizen cover.
I absolutely
with this character.
want a Jenny Frizen cover of that.
I like the character design a lot.
Yes. Up next, issue 2 of Nemesis Reloaded from Image Comics. Speaking of Mark Millar.
Yes, with Pepe Larraz on art, which is always wonderful. So yeah, this is issue 2 of Nemesis Reloaded. This is kind of Mark Millar describes as like a soft reboot of the character, kind of changing up the origin story a little bit, and just kind of making a more modern take on the character. And in this series, he has decided that he is going to take over Los Angeles, and we don't really know what his motive is. All we know is that he starts out in that first issue by offering a bounty for any cop to be killed. And so this issue kind of picks right where that takes off. And we now have cops that are being chased down, and people are turning in badges, and the police chief and mayor have come together to figure out the best way to stop Nemesis. And we also get a little bit of an origin story with the Nemesis character as well. You kind of get to see a little bit of his past, which I'm hoping they dive into. I hope it's one of those where they flash back each issue and give us just like little bits and pieces of the Nemesis character, because this was, like I said, I've never known who this character was prior to this, and I mean these first 2 issues alone, I was like, now I want to know more. So yeah, this is a really, really good book. Also, I realized that Pepe Larraz is
on the event,
this book. It's Jorge Jimenez, but
Jorge Jimenez or Ramirez? Which one?
Jimenez.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Which is another artist I like.
Oh, yeah,
so, a lot of cool artists on this, and it says big game coming 2023. I think I read somewhere that it was like July or August. But I really love this book. I think if you're a fan of like Deadpool or The Punisher, any of those like overly violent kind of anti-heroes, then this is another book for you to pick up.
Yeah, anything that would have been on the Marvel Max line would definitely fall into this. And if you're a Mark Millar fan and you've been like, oh, I'm falling off, like he's not really like where I want to be anymore, this has been drawing a lot of Mark's fans back into it. Like a lot of people who are like, I used to read him and I kind of tapered off, have been coming back for this Nemesis series. And I even had a long conversation with somebody in the store today who was like, I mean, issue 1, I felt like this is Mark Millar is back kind of situation, and that it is back to feeling that like cinematic, like super scope of how you get with a lot of the Mark Millar books, where it's like he just wrote that to be a movie. Right. That you're starting to see that again with these books and whatever he's building towards. So I
mean, he was considered one of the best artists or best writers at the time. When he was doing Kick-Ass and a lot of the other stuff back in the day, and so. It is kind of nice. I assume that once he started trying to get more into TV and movies with the Netflix deal, maybe his comics just weren't on that same level. But yeah, I'm definitely on board for everything that he's doing. So
absolutely. Up next from Boom Studios, we have issue 8 of Grimm. And if you have not taken the plunge into Grimm yet, you are completely missing out. I should have brought the volume 1 trade actually with me. But this is such a cool series because this is the story of a girl named Jessica who, while every other person who has a job like hers, which is she is a Grim Reaper, she is somebody who like helps ferry people over to death, everybody else that has that profession as somebody who was once alive and is like, oh, I don't really remember how I died, but I remembered how I was born and I remember everything about my life. And Jessica only remembers her death. And that's kind of like when she woke up. And we kind of get this massive, almost something is killing the children-esque world out of this, because we are seeing this rivalry between the actual Grim Reaper and this woman who wants to run the underworld. And this has set a battle into motion that Jessica is at the center of, whether she wants to be or not. And as things continue to escalate, we're at a point now in the story where nobody can die. And so all of these people are technically dying, or should be dying, like they're getting hit by cars, or they're getting shot, or all these things are happening, but nobody is dying. And all the people who work as Grim Reapers are like, what are we supposed to do? Like, if we don't take people to the afterlife, we're gonna go to, like, we're gonna get sent to hell. And like, that was the deal we made, was that we'd be Grim Reapers instead. And so there's all this going on with the different people in the world, and at the same time, Jessica's still kind of trying to figure out who she is and what her role is in this. And the book gets crazier every time, and if you know me, you know that I honestly will buy anything Stephanie Phillips puts her name on. I think Stephanie Phillips is such a cool writer and tells such great stories, and I'm super excited to see where this goes. And I love that we're on issue 8, because I was worried it was going to be like a 6-part miniseries, but I'm now worried that it's going to be a 12-part series, and I'm like, no, don't ever end it, just keep going. Like, how far can you keep stretching this, Stephanie Phillips? Because I want you to keep going forever.
Well, I mean, I remember we kind of talked about early on when those first few issues were coming out, that we kind of thought that maybe this was Boom's next attempt at kind of building something similar to Something Is Killing the Children, where there could be spin-offs and other things involved. So I'm hoping it goes beyond the 12 issues, and maybe we get a mini-series or 2 as well. But yeah, I mean, the art, the writing, Stephanie Phillips is just one of those writers that I'm always into. So. And
then you also got the trade had a trade variant that was also the Jenny Frison cover. So, because every issue has a Jenny Frison variant, which is super cool. And I love that they actually even made a variant of the trade that was a Jenny Frison variant, which is super cool. Up next, from Dark Horse, we have issue 2 of White Savior.
This book, if you saw The Last Samurai, where Tom Cruise single-handedly saves feudal Japan.
Good Lord.
This is kind of a parody of that. So if you loved that movie, this is the next place to go, because sadly they didn't make a sequel. But this is actually the story of a guy named Todd, who is one day out walking around and discovers a girl is being mugged and tries to save her. And in the interim ends up getting mugged himself because she was in on it. And later on, when he's having dinner with a friend, he sees the girl. She's a waitress at the restaurant that he's at, and he chases her and ends up falling into feudal Japan, where it just so happens a very similar story to Last Samurai has taken place. A white guy comes along, and instead of leading them to victory, he leads the entire village to death. And so this boy is now back in time, in that moment leading up to the days of the battle. And this is kind of the first issue where you get to see a bit of an interaction between Todd and, I think it's Nathan is the guy's name, like Nathan Guerin. So the first chance that he gets to kind of meet with him, and of course they start butting heads immediately, because he's like, I know how this ends.
Yeah.
And he also runs into the waitress again, and they decide to team up and figure out how to get back to modern day, and also potentially prevent an entire village from dying. So yeah, it's a 4-issue miniseries, so it's going to be moving pretty quickly, and so it definitely feels like the pacing in this book is very quick. After that first issue, they're like, all right, we got to do this. Let's go. Let's form a plan. Let's make it happen. But it is extremely funny, a bit meta. The kid kind of talks in the same way that you would expect like Deadpool to, where it's like a little bit of...
Fourth wall breaking.
Yeah, fourth wall breaking, kind of making the jokes of like, oh, this is something you would expect me to say, or, things like that. But it's very funny, and of course, what a great story.
Yeah. Up next, from Image Comics, we have What's the Furthest Place from Here, issue 11. Tyler Boss and Matthew Rosenberg, whatever you want to do, it's Eisner winning in my opinion. But this fantastic issue brings us to this arc where we're actually kind of going back to what happened in the very first issue. So if you've never picked up What's the Furthest Place from Here, it's kind of very much the Warriors, where you have a bunch of kids who have separated themselves into families or gangs that are in this post-apocalyptic world. We have no idea what happened to the adults, and they've all kind of created their own rules and regulations for how they're supposed to survive. And we follow this one family that lives in a record store. And their whole thing is actually like you have to determine your soul essentially by picking the album that most like reflects who you are. And in the very first issue, there is a kid that's getting pretty close to 18 and a girl who's pregnant. And at the end of the first issue, she goes missing. And she's like left the family. Nobody knows why. And he kind of goes after her. And then nothing from issue 1 to issue 9 has ever shown in either of them ever again. And in the last 2 issues, we've seen what happened. We've seen that she's kind of gone off on her own. We kind of saw a little bit of her story, and in the last one we kind of saw him looking for her. And in this issue we see where his path leads him and what kind of happens from that, and we get our first little glimpse of what may have happened to her. We also get our first little glimpse of what happens after you're no longer a child in this issue. So this is going to be like your key issue of What's the Furthest Place from Here. If you are reading it, make sure you grab 11, make sure you're keeping up with it, because it's just such a great story. And this is another one where they found a way to just like keep this story like building out the universe for the last 10 issues, and then are like, oh, by the way, we were telling you a story, so we're going to go back to that now. And it's great. And again, Matthew Rosenberg and Tyler Boss can do whatever, and I'm gonna.
Now, is this only going to be 12?
There's no way.
Okay.
No possible way.
I just want to make sure.
You could ever end that on the next issue. And if they do, I'm already going to I'm just going to call Matthew and be like, what are you doing?
Would you please?
Yeah, if he ends that, there's going to be an angry phone call where I'm like, that's not how we do this, buddy. You're going to have to give me more. Up next, from Aftershock Comics, we have issue 3 of Fear of a Red Planet. And I don't know if you got this one, but you did read 1 and 2, right?
Yes, I did not get to read this issue. Look, I feel like we're at a point, every year there's kind of a running theme in comics. There's a type of story that's going to be told multiple times. And I feel like because of the success of Knives Out, we're getting a lot of murder mysteries. And this is another one of those. But it is a murder mystery that takes place on, of course, the red planet Mars. In that first issue, we see the guy getting murdered. And, of course, it's the guy that, if you're watching something or you're reading a story, you're like, yeah, this would be kind of the guy that I'd be okay with, because he's kind of annoying. He's kind of mean to all the employees. It takes place in kind of like a mining area. Pretty much it's a lot of construction on Mars, and issue 2 is kind of the kicking off of, all right, now we have to round up the suspects. So
and in issue 2, the suspect they round up is like the most popular person.
Yeah.
It's like you went from like, oh, the worst person. They even say that in this issue, in issue 3. They're like, so the worst person on the planet died, and you arrested the best person on the planet, like who everybody loves. Like, you couldn't have picked anybody else and just pinned it on somebody and just called it good, because like nobody's mad that guy's dead. Yeah. And the police are like, that's not our job. Our job is to solve the murder. And they're like, but is it? Like, you could just leave him dead, everybody'd be fine. And they're like, but then there'd still be a murderer running around. So in issue 3, it's kind of that whole conversation of the politics of it, of like, who do we arrest? And then like in the process of them saying like, oh, well, let's play the political game and let's just go after people, they actually realize that there are a lot more suspects than the one person that they arrested. And so now they're like, oh, there are other people who could possibly be the killer here. And we're starting to see how that's going to play out for everything. I assume it's Aftershock, so I assume this is going to have 1 or 2 more issues, probably 2 more if I had to guess. And I am really curious to see who's gonna break it down as the actual killer in this story.
I mean, that's always the best part.
Yeah.
When they do the reveal. But it's weird because, like, the main character is not a detective.
No.
At all. So there's no actual... I feel like there's no real detective skills involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, maybe following it. So I'm hoping we still, with that character, get, you know, a big revealing, so...
Of like this is what I actually did when you weren't looking. I love those moments.
They're the best. They're the best.
We've mentioned on the show a ton of times that like we both are huge Ocean's 11's fan.
Yes.
And we love that moment where it's like, oh, now you're gonna like give us all the details of how this actually went down. And so I'm sure Nick's like, that's also not how you rob a casino in Vegas, but
that's how I'm gonna solve the escape room. Is I'm gonna wait.
Sounds like the premise of Knives Out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Image Comics, we have issue 7 of 8 Billion Genies. I'm going to let you guys know we only have one issue left because this is the most on-brand book that anybody has ever created. Congratulations, Charles Soule, for staying with your brand. It's 8 Billion Genies. We start out with like the first 8 like minutes, and then we went to like the first 8 hours, and then it was like the first 8 days, first 8 weeks. Now we're doing like we are at the point of the first 8 decades in this, and so all of the characters that you've seen throughout the story are obviously going to experience a lot of aging in this issue, and kind of give us a chance to show you everything. But what I really, really love about 8 Billion Genies is Charles Soule has shown you both the value of and his hatred of attorneys, which he is. And so, like, there's an entire haven in this world of genies that people making terrible wishes. That's just attorneys who come in and like tell you the right way to word things and for your wishes from the genies. And I'm gonna back up because I didn't tell you at all why you have a genie. So 8 Billion Genies, if you didn't read it, everybody on the planet gets a genie and they all get one wish. And of course, immediately it's earthlings, so immediately most of the people make stupid wishes that end up like destroying the world, and then some people start making wishes that kind of counteract those, that save the world. And I love watching how like the population and the like number of like genies and wishes goes down simultaneously, but there's like so many of them that like they wish for that person to be dead, so people are just dead. And it's been such a crazy ride. But anyway, now people are really strict with their wishes. They're actually like, there's one society where they don't let kids who have been born in this time period like actually have their wishes. It's such a big thing. So I'm like, what was the thing that you flipped to? I'm like, but anyway, there's so much that goes on in this story and in this world. And if you haven't read 8 Billion Genies, they have made up to like 5th and 6th printings of issues 1 through 6. So if you haven't read it, there are printings out there. You're probably not going to get your hands on issue 1 first printing, but if you do, you probably don't want to read it because it's one that this book was like optioned immediately. So I know people are holding on to that
Do you
first
guys
print.
have any copies of this?
I have all of the additional printings. Like, I have additional printings of all the issues, I should say.
If you want to read it.
If you want to read it. Yeah.
It's
It's great. It's great because there's this one issue where, like, literally they're trying to come up with the legality of how to make a wish. And so they're going through all of the, like, it's like 3 pages of legalese on how to, like, curate this perfect wish.
Genies.
Mhm.
I dig it.
Yes.
I dig it.
If you,
100%.
what would be your like gut reaction? One wish. Like if you didn't take the time to think about it, and you were just like first thing that comes to mind.
Well, now that I've read this book, my first wish would probably be the same one that the bartender makes, where it's like, I wish that like nobody's wishes could impact what happens within the walls of this building, but it would be for Bat City. Like I'd be like, I know this one. Charles Soule taught me this wish. I know this. What would you do? Something
Wait
terrible.
for Mysterium to crumble.
Well, you'd have to gather your things and bring them to the shop.
To Bat City.
And then eventually what can happen is you combine Bat City and Mysterium together into an escape room comic book store combo.
Oh my God.
Sounds
Genius.
amazing.
You know?
You know.
I'm just saying.
Live out my days there.
Yeah. What would you wish for?
To be married to Selena Gomez. That would be like
Oh my god. High five.
right off the bat, like no thinking. I'd be like,
So
oh,
gorgeous.
I want to be married to Selena Gomez.
She's so beautiful.
Yeah. So that would be like if I didn't think about it, That would be the first thing I think of.
Matt would end up with a cheeseburger that never expired or something.
Very Jughead of you.
No, I would wish for 1,000 more wishes.
You can't do that.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
one
is
thing
that
you
in
can't
I
do.
think that's in the
Can you
Yeah.
make a
thing.
wish that you can wish for 1,000 wishes?
No.
Right. But then you still, yeah, I
There
don't
has to
think,
be a legality.
I think there was a thing where you couldn't wish for more wishes.
You only get one wish,
Right.
and that's the one
A
rule.
never-ending cheeseburger.
And I'd be a guy who would like have it for a while.
Right.
There's a lot of people who like their genie makes it a decade
Oh,
and they still have it
more than that,
because they
yeah.
haven't perfectly worded it yet. I'm that guy.
Yeah, that's why he asked what your gut reaction
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if
We
you
all would
didn't think
wanna
about
think
it, if
about
you
it.
just like right off the bat was like whatever,
My wife can never die.
Aw, well,
Aw.
but you could, and then she has to be
Well,
an immortal
I know,
without
but
you.
this guy has watched everybody in his family die, so I get it.
Yeah.
And honestly, like,
What if it was both
We're
y'all?
on the internet.
What if it was?
No,
Way to bring it down.
it's true. Though. She's not wrong.
I'm not wrong.
She's not wrong.
What if it was both of y'all never died?
I mean, I can see that.
Yeah.
You know.
And see, and that's where the issue
Right.
comes
the gut
in.
reaction.
Because gut reaction, you're like, she can never die, and you're like, oh crap,
Right. Now
I don't
she's
want to die either.
And then
You're more
also,
vampire Matt and Shannon.
right, but then also, like, because it's genies and, you know, they never do things well, it's like, I could never die, but I would be, like, decaying. I wouldn't be like a vampire where I stay
Right.
this age forever. I'd be, like, decaying and all, like
Yeah,
peeling
true.
off
You
my,
still
like,
age.
yeah.
Right.
and so then I'm just, like, dust, but I can't die, so I have to, like, live as dust.
What if you grew to an old person and then Benjamin buttoned back to a child and then went back, like you just basically
That sounds awful.
like a roller coaster?
Way to go. Thanks a lot.
Sorry.
If I was the
I'll
genie,
take it
that's
for
how
a
I would do it.
cheeseburger.
I tried to get us never-ending cheeseburgers.
I know.
Come on.
I think I'd wish for the most comfortable pair of underpants. I really do.
That's a nice gut reaction wish. Most comfortable pair of underpants. You might be stuck in it forever. Who knows?
Yeah, like what if they're like, oh, he can never take them off?
That's fine. They're comfortable.
They're Oh my gosh. From Boom Studios, we have issue 2 of Mosely.
Yes.
Mosely.
Yes,
Philip was very
Mosely.
excited about this book, so tell them about it.
Well, I was originally excited for a very different reason because I thought this was the adult version of Mowgli from the Jungle Book. I thought it was a sequel, a spiritual sequel to that. But no, instead what we get is the one of the top guys, Mosely, who is there at the ground floor of bringing AI into the world. Ends up years later finding out that maybe that was not the best idea. As we've seen in all the movies, like iRobot, and that's really the only one I can think of because that's the only... Terminator doesn't count. There's time travel involved in Terminator.
So it's just a comic about Elon Musk.
Essentially, but...
Somebody who worked for him, probably.
Yeah, it'd be somebody who worked for Elon Musk and then was like, this is going to be bad. And then years later is like, why was I a part of this? And then in that first issue, he gains powers very much like Thor. He's got a really cool hammer and he can, you know, shoot lightning and really awesome things. And so in this issue, you get to see him use those powers. And it's wonderful. He fights this like giant godhead. Well, they're called gods. The robot, yeah, this thing right here. It's like Medusa looking. And this is the one, I think it's called the ground god. And it controls like upgrades. So now humans can get upgrades. Like you can get cybernetic parts added to your body. And it also controls this virtual reality stream that they have where they basically send people to just kind of waste away in virtual reality. And he's like, I'm going to put an end to this. And what's great in this issue is he saves everyone, and then everyone's mad at him for it. And he's like, oh, maybe you people aren't worth saving. And decides to flee the city instead.
Yeah. Also like Terminator. But also you get these amazing Jean Francis Bolu colors on this
Yeah,
book, which is always a win for me.
This book is definitely beautiful, and I enjoy it. I was a little nervous that first issue because I was like, oh, he's got superpowers. It's another superpower book. But I do like that it kind of goes against the rising of AI.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm always in for like a father saving his daughter kind of story. So
Yeah, I didn't even mention the daughter.
yeah,
but
the daughter who like is now like the head of all this AI stuff, and she's like all super into it, and the dad's like, ugh, I gotta stop this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun series.
From Image Comics, issue 4 of volume 775, or 6 as it were, of I Hate Fairyland. And in this particular volume, are backing it up even more so. If you've never read I Hate Fairyland from Scotty Young, this is a story of a young girl named Gert who makes a wish to go to Fairyland when she's like 7 years old, and ends up in Fairyland where you're supposed to go on an adventure that should last you about a day, and end up going back home and nobody ever knowing you were gone, except Gert isn't the brightest crayon in the box. So she ends up spending about 40 years, or is 40 years old, I should say, inside of the body of the 7-year-old, living in this world of Fairyland and unable to get out. In our volume 5, we finally see Gert kind of return to the human world and age up a little bit, and now she has been hired to go back to Fairyland to save a kid of a rich corporate person who needs to get his kid out of Fairyland, but also has very nefarious plans for Fairyland in and of itself. And Gert's got 2 new guides that she is traveling with, and in this particular issue, they tell semi-adult Gert that the worst thing that could ever happen on their trip is having to smell her because she smells disgusting. And so this entire issue is them trying to convince Gert that she needs to take a bath. And then Gert taking a bath in a lake, and Gert getting swallowed by the lake monster and living out her experience in the lake that she has fallen, or in the lake monster that she has been inside of. It's kind of like Geppetto in Pinocchio if it was made by Cartoon Network or in Robot Chicken or something of that nature, because it is ridiculous and wonderful. And Scotty Young, I love you.
I would love for Adult Swim to start doing retelling of Disney movies.
Oh my god, that would be a fantastic way to get sued.
You
But
just change the names.
you change the names and the color of their clothing, because Disney usually copyrights that. And then you're
Geppetto
fine.
and...
Well, that's open domain, because Pinocchio itself is open domain. You just can't look like the Disney versions.
Oh, that's fine.
Pinocchio is an old fairy tale.
Aren't most of those
Most
stories?
of those stories are, and so
Yeah,
they're
we'll
open
just-
domain. You just can't look like the Disney characters.
That's fine.
Like the Winnie the Pooh thing, which those people who made the horror movie for Winnie the Pooh will probably get sued because Winnie the Pooh is open domain, but not the red shirt Winnie the Pooh.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting. I just read something this morning that director is trying to do the same thing with the Teletubbies and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, good luck. Those are those are not an open domain, so you will probably be sued very hard. But you know what? People know who he is. His movies are, I guess, so it's working for him.
That movie is getting a lot of hate on the internet. There's a lot of people.
I've seen it. It's not bad. It's not bad.
I haven't seen it yet. I expect it to be decent, maybe. I don't know.
If you expect an average movie, you will get an average movie.
There you go.
I expect a bad movie.
Well, there you go. From Image Comics, we have issue 5 of Kaya. Go for it. I know you were very excited about this book.
Yes, I think issue 1 was the pick of the week for me.
It was. I'm surprised all of them aren't picks of the week for you.
Well, I'm waiting to see where this story actually goes, because we do have your kind of like Lone Wolf and Cub style journey story. It is a young girl and her younger brother who, after the destruction of their village, are heading to Monk Island to, find safety. And this is the story of them trying to get there. And in the first couple of issues, they run into lizard riders, and we are introduced to Seth. And he is kind of like a bit of a love interest for Kaya. And in I think it's issue 3 is when they go off on a hunt to hunt down a monster. They end up killing the monster and taking it back to the Lizard Riders' village. And that's where this issue is. We get to see them kind of going around in this issue. There's a bit of Kaya and her younger brother Jin getting into some arguments because he now believes he has magical powers. And Kaya maybe doesn't necessarily believe in magic. But we also see Seth, the love interest, is thrown into an arranged marriage just with, like, out any warning. He comes back from the hunt and they're like, hey, this is our daughter. The ceremony's tonight. Can't wait to see you there. And we also have a character, Zothon, who is one of the other lizard riders, and he's kind of like the rebellious bad boy lizard rider, and he's very he doesn't like how Seth is going to become the king. And in the hunt that they had, one of their friends dies, and so in this issue he is going to go through a ritual to kind of take on the essence of that other character. So you get to see that as well, which is super cool. I just love that they are building this beautiful landscape.
Absolutely.
And everything in it. There's humor, there's action, maybe potential romance down the road. You don't get that here, you know, especially with it being an arranged marriage. So I do really enjoy this book. I think it's a ton of fun. I can't wait to see where it goes, and I love all these characters.
Yeah, and honestly, like, if you liked Jonna and the Impossible Monsters and We Live, and you blended them together, that's kind of the storytelling aspect you get of this, because you have the older sister protecting the younger brother. You have that like those giant monsters, and I love that in this one, because we say lizard riders, but they are actually lizards who ride other like monstrous creatures, and so the ritual is all around an actual like lizard animal ritualistic moment. And so it's funny because you almost forget that they're actually lizards until they start talking about what the ritual is, and you're like, oh, they are lizards. That's right, they're lizards. We're doing a lizard thing now. And it makes lizards really like have this beautiful thing in your mind. You're like, oh, I'm gonna look at lizards totally different from now on, because that was so amazing. It's such a good book, and it's one of those where it's great for all ages, and it's good to share. If you're an adult who has kids in your life and you like to read with them, this is one that you could read with the child and take turns like reading it and talking about it, because it is such a good story. And it has beautiful art for sure. Yeah,
it's Wes Craig. If you've ever read Deadly Class, and what was the other book he did? Gravediggers Union.
I was going to say Society, but
so yeah, great art style and a beautiful storyteller. So yeah, this is definitely one that I'm sure once it wraps up, which it is an ongoing series, so I don't know when that is, but probably when it wraps up, it'll definitely be like the whole series will be a pick of the week, you know, or a best of. Potential Eisner winner, maybe?
Right, we could
or at least
see
a nominee.
I would like to see a nomination for it, for sure. From Image Comics, Nick, cover your ears if you didn't read your comics yet this week. We have the newest issue of The Dead Lucky. This is issue 6. Oh my gosh.
Wow.
For those of you who are Radiant Black fans, this has been confirmed to be a part of your massive verse. So if you haven't jumped into Dead Lucky yet, you need to go back and jump into it, because it is, I mean, it's obviously at trade point because this is issue 6. But this is the end of volume 1, actually. I think it even says that. But this is another part of your massive verse, and this is the story of a woman who is a leader in a squadron in the military, and her entire platoon is wiped out except for her. And so she feels very guilty for the fact that like her team didn't make it back, but she did. And she returns to her home in San Francisco, and it has been completely overrun by a group called Morrow. And Morrow is one of those like we all seeing organizations that's like, oh, well, we've taken control of everything, but we're keeping the problems out. We have no gangs, we have no violence, but they're in fact like almost enslaving these people in this world. And so she decides to fight back against not only like the gangs that are still fighting in the area, but against Morrow itself. And she kind of creates a suit much like we see in the Radiant Black world, and a mech suit and a team of mech people, but it's all also powered by the ghost of her platoon that she had. And so she's able to tap into not only this energy that she somehow got when she was attacked, but also tap into the energy of talking to the people who have died in the past. And in this particular issue, we're kind of seeing the culmination, like I said, of that volume 1. So it's where is she going and what are we setting up? We are definitely setting up a strong volume 2 with this issue. So if you haven't read it yet, you can grab all the individual issues, or you can wait a month or so and probably see, probably going to be a couple months, but you'll probably see a trade coming pretty soon for this first volume, which was fantastic. Yeah. Let's see. We'll go Revolvers next. This is from Image and Top Cow. This is issue 4, and this is the end. Right,
oh, really?
Of Revolver.
Okay.
And a good ending indeed. If you haven't read Revolver yet, this is the story of a cop who is murdered potentially by his partners, and he ends up in that limbo section, or at least he believes it's by his partners, I guess I should say. We don't really know. But he ends up in that limbo of not quite dead yet. Like they say there's 6 minutes where your mind kind of hangs on even though your body has died. And with that 6 minutes, he is investigating from the afterlife the murder of not only himself but his wife, and trying to figure it out, is it who it is it his partners, is it these gang members and drug dealers that he's really dealing with, or is it somebody completely different? And over the course of the 4 issues, we've seen him team up with different people. We've seen him come into a lot of information. And in this issue, we definitely see a lot revealed. And honestly, there's the twist and turns that this issue took. I was like, oh, wow. That's the decisions we've made. Wow, I did not see any of those choices coming as where this was going to wrap up. So great ending for Revolvers. Yeah, please don't show the second half of the book, because it definitely it took a lot of turns that I didn't know we were going to hit, and I was like, it's a pretty good series, and then we got this issue, and I was like, ooh. You just bumped up a lot of points with how you ended that, because that was a really good twist on the story that you were telling. So, up next, also from Image Comics, we have issue 6 of The Least We Can Do. And I'm gonna hold this up while you're taking your sweater off, don't worry. And this is, I always call this your classic young adult fiction story, because this is about a young girl who is in a world that we've got, the aristocratic society against the rest of the people. And you have gemstones, kind of like a Steven Universe thing, where you get these gemstones and they give you the power. And of course, the aristocratic elitist society is taking all of them and keeping them away from the people who need them. And so we've got this group of people who are fighting back, and a young girl has joined up with them. And over the course of the time, we kind of figure out where she's from and how she's connected to all of this world. But she just really wants to make a difference. And sure, she's trying to figure out how to make her gemstone work for her, and how to get these powers to go on, and how to just be a part of this and how to make a difference. It's such a cool story. I love the way all the characters work. This is the team behind Alice in Leatherland, and they're so good at relationships. They're so good at building those connections between people, and they do it so instantly. And this book benefits from that so much, because there are so many characters and there's so much going on, that the fact that the characters instantly connect works really well. But in this issue, we get so many pieces of the puzzle put into place, and I think it's safe to say we'll probably get a volume 2.
Nice.
Because we haven't stopped anything yet, but we've definitely started to make some strides towards it. So I'm excited, because we don't get a lot of Yolanda and Elisa doing more than 4 or 5 issues for their series, and so to see them kind of taking on a full series, or at least a 12-part series, makes me so excited, because I absolutely adore everything that they make. So I'm glad we're getting some more from them.
Yeah, I kind of assume at some point they'll take on a full-blown ongoing, unless they just want to stick to miniseries. But
yeah, I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna go to this one. I guess. Okay, that was we have 2 books that I guess we're kind of in the endings. I didn't even put that there on purpose, but we actually did put all the endings together. So this is Eve, Children of the Moon. This is issue 5. We might get one more. I don't think we're going to get another issue. I think this might be the end of this volume, but this is from Boom Studios, and this is volume 2 of Eve. And this is a story of a young girl who the world is ending. There's going to be a flood. There's going to be destruction. And in volume 1, her dad leaves her behind to kind of fix the world whenever they come to. And she's left with her teddy bear. And in volume 1, that teddy bear kind of becomes, it's programmed with an AI, and it kind of goes wrong, as most AI always does, and have a lot of issues. But in volume 2, she's been working to gather all of the other children that have survived and kind of give them guidance in the world and use the information that she and her teddy bear have been storing for all this time. And a lot of things went really wrong in this volume, and a lot of things did not work out for Eve or any of her friends. And this is kind of the wrap up of volume 2, and like, okay, some of the kids aren't gonna make it, and some of the kids are, and some of them are gonna go on their own paths in different ways. So it's a really great story, and the team behind it features an actual environmentalist. I believe it might be his wife is an environmentalist, and so he wanted to tell a story about like if their kids were stuck in the world that his wife is studying for the future. And so it makes a really, really cool thing. It's like, what kind of information would us as environmentalists want to like pass on to our kids to prep them for this world that we unfortunately are leaving them for? And now it's just kind of spurred into a story from there.
Okay.
And so, and then the other one ending this week is we have issue 5 of Dead Kingdom from Red 5 Comics. That is so many 5s. But I'm excited to say, once again, we're going to get a volume 2 from a publisher we don't see a lot of volume 2s from. So Red 5 is definitely giving us a volume 2 of Dead Kingdom based off of how this ends. And I'm super excited because maybe that means someday I'll get a volume 2 of Carriers. I love my pigeon book. But if you haven't read Dead Kingdom, it is a medieval style story of a zombie apocalypse. What if the zombie apocalypse had happened during the medieval times? Which, if you know me, I'm 100% believe that we actually had a lot of zombies in the Roman time, because the SPQR handbook for the Roman soldiers actually has how to set up your camp at night in case the dead come back to life. So I'm 100% convinced we've already had a zombie apocalypse during the Roman soldier days. But this is, what if it happened in the medieval times? There's knights and everybody trying to fight against zombies, but there's no way to communicate with village after village because there's no mass communication. And so they can't get to the villages fast enough to stop them from experiencing this zombie apocalypse. And the whole time it's just this one soldier who's known as like the guy is just trying to find the love of his life, who he left when he went to thinking he was going to war. And now she's been moved from village to village, and he just keeps trying to hunt her down. And of course, in this issue, he's into the next area, and he's kind of just trying to see where the story goes, and leaves us on a great cliffhanger for another volume, and kind of actually, I believe, says like a volume 2 will hopefully be coming. So if you're a zombie fan and you've always wanted to see like, okay, we've done the modern times enough, let's see what would happen in a time without cell phones, Dead Kingdom is such a good book for that. So yeah. So we're going to switch to number 1s in just a second, but I wanted to...
I didn't read that one.
Okay, well then we are not going to talk about that. We're going to switch to number 1s in just a second, but I wanted to remind you a couple things. One is we are drinking this incredibly great Freak Show wine. So good that Phil just took another drink. This is a Cab Sav, which is a red wine if you don't normally drink wine or tune in. And we are drinking Freak Show, provided to us by Mysterium, which is the escape rooms that we are hanging out in tonight over in Sarasota, Florida. And Freak Show is their newest escape room that will be opening in 2.5 to 3 weeks. It is a horror escape room. It's going to be awesome. Like I said, I've seen a sneak peek. I love it. I cannot wait. But they have 3 rooms already open right now that you can come check out. Tiki Trouble, Area 941, and what is the saloon one called?
It's Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West. I could have just guessed that. Wild Wild West. So there is a lot of really cool stuff that you can come and check out at Mysterium Escape Rooms. They also have a ton of VR and video games that you can come play.
Delicious.
I know, it's so good. And thank you again, Nick, for A, hosting us, but also B, giving us this incredibly delicious wine.
And keep your eye open for that live stream of Phil soloing our escape room.
Phil soloing the escape room. It's going to be so good. And Phil, you have a second drink. I'm calling you out. What are you drinking?
I was actually gonna try and keep it on the DL.
No, you opened up a second one, so
Yeah.
now you get it. You're on your own now.
Well, there's one of the wonderful things about Sarasota is there is a gas station that doesn't actually have gas. It's just a convenience store. So I guess I'll say convenience store, not gas station. Called Quick Stop, which of course is perfect for me. And they sell like a dozen flavors of Faygo. And these bottles are only $1 a piece. And they sell cans of it as well for 50 cents. So I went in on the way down here, because I'm not in Sarasota as much as I'd like to be. And but every time I'm down here, I always like to ransack this place. And the guy was so nice that I pulled it out, and he was like, "Oh, those aren't cold." And so he actually walked around to the back and grabbed a cold one from the very back and brought it out, and was like, "This is the cold one." And I was like, "You're my hero, dude. You sell Faygo, you know."
Your place is called Quick Stop.
Yeah, I mean, this is, this will be a new home for me. But yeah, they sell Faygo. They sell this awesome, the one that tastes like the fireworks.
The popsicle.
Yes.
Oh, nice. I was trying to figure out why it's called firework.
And
okay.
it tastes exactly like that. It's super delicious.
It tastes like all the flavors are just the white flavor in the middle. Because it's white, so I was just
Is it caffeine free?
It is. I just saw that.
Do you want to try it?
I don't want to try it.
Do you want to try Faygo?
You're
Is this your...
If any
Is
Faygo
it-
executives are listening,
Now,
Phil wants a sponsorship.
oh, I should have told you. You're going to get face paint forms on...
Right, immediately
You
upon
immediately
tasting
become a juggalo.
It does taste. It tastes like all three flavors.
Right?
How is that humanly possible that it can taste like all three flavors of the popsicle?
Faygo.
Oh my god! Like
They
you
teach
get.
us in culinary school that your tongue is capable of tasting over a dozen flavors at once.
It literally tastes like three different flavors of a popsicle at one time. That's magical. I'm not into ICP, but I might be into drinking things that taste like popsicles.
I can bring you some.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
They're only $1 a piece.
Wow, the Faygo.
And they carry this flavor, so this has been in stock the whole time I've been here.
Pineapple orange is the best flavor. I don't care.
Oh my God.
The pineapple, and I really like their peach.
Now
I
my
mean,
wine
all of
tastes
them.
like popsicles.
You
You have created a soda that can overpower wine. Congratulations,
Um,
Faygo.
But yeah, I mean, after the conversation we had last week,
From how I became a shoplifter.
How I became a
If you
shoplifter.
didn't know from Sumerian comments.
yes, there is a story in there involving juggalos, and it led to one or more of us in this room unveiling that we have a history with the Insane Clown Posse. And so I figured, I originally was actually going to just have it as an unknown Easter egg and see if anyone noticed it.
Oh no, I had to call it.
But,
I'm sorry.
That's fair. I understand. I've grown beyond the shame
Yeah.
and circled back around to being perfectly okay with it.
We all got to love what we love.
Yeah.
Speaking of things we love, we're going to start out some issue ones, and I'm going to toss it to Archie Comics and their horror line for Betty the Final Girl and this amazing Megan Hutchinson variant. Yay! I love Meg, and I will always cheer on her. I will always cheer on her art. So, yeah! Woo! Megan! But this is all about Veronica invites Betty over for a night to watch horror movies, and we see Betty go through the watching of horror movies, and every time she puts on a different movie, we get a different vignette, and it's kind of like what Betty is experiencing, like Betty dream living through that horror movie. So you get a lot of your classic horror movies told through the Archie canon, which is super great, and then you get a nice little twist at the end. But everybody thought this was going to be Betty the Final Girl kind of seemed more like a Last Ronin or something like that. But this is actually that Valentine's Day horror blend together. It's supposed to be like them coming together for girls' night on Valentine's Day instead of going out with Archie, and then Betty has these chilling adventures, as it were.
Yeah, I assumed that it was going to be kind of like more of a serial killer story with, her obviously being the final girl.
Yeah.
Does that say one shot or
It is. It's a one. No, it's a one shot. It is. That's all there is to it. You get the one, just like all of your other Archie holiday books. So, yeah. Up next from our buddies at Blood Moon Comics, we have issue 1 of Northern Blood. And this is it takes place in Norway in 1942. I'm so glad that it has the date on the back because I already forgot I knew it was in the 40s, but I wouldn't have remembered it was in Norway. And you get kind of your classic, like, oh, this is going to be one of those Nazi Germany kind of stories. Like, this is about people who are experience, like the troops as they go through that. But then it turns out that they kind of cross this Viking burial tomb, and both sides are trying to see who can get the Viking burial, like, zombies that come back onto their side. So this is like, oh, I'm in this terrible thing, and like these Viking like zombies awaken, and it's like, ooh, whose side are they going to be on? And I mean, they're zombies, so whose side are they ever really on? And issue 1 kind of leaves us with that cliffhanger of this could go in any direction. And I like also I'm like these zombies are crazy because they are like Vikings coming out to like slaughter everybody. So you kind of mix a bunch of different genres together to get this story, and it's all done in black and white, which is a kind of a thing ever since Walking Dead, where we see a lot of zombie stories that kind of lead towards the black and white, kind of hide that blood and make it just the darkness of the story itself. So we're gonna see where this goes. I always love to see what Blood Moon comes up with next. Did you read? Oh, here you go. You do this one.
Yes, this is the adventures of the GWF. The Galactic Wrestling Federation. Daniel Warren Johnson came out with an amazing wrestling book, and it was the top of a lot of people's lists. We also had what was the Macbeth one called?
Crimson Cage. Mm-hmm.
And so we've been seeing a lot more wrestling books, because what you realize is that the two can overlap very beautifully. There's even WWE comics if you're interested. But this is, wrestling in space. At the beginning, we are introduced to a character named Red Menace, who is being bothered by his mom while trying to watch wrestling. And it then cuts to a match that he's going to watch against the world champion RMD, who is facing off against Dr. Chaka. And most of this issue is going to be that fight. And I'm not going to give the outcome away. I'm not going to tell you how it happens. But just know, this first fight between these two characters is going to kick off a bit of the behind the scenes.
Yes.
When it comes to wrestling in space, and they kind of give us a new character at the end of issue 1, and I am all here for everything about this one.
I love the announcers. Wrestling announcers always crack me up in general, and these two are like, what is it, Statler and Waldorf from the Muppets, where there's like, oh yeah, like we're gonna do the thing, and then like the one just like disappears. It's like if you mix them with the ones from Dodgeball.
I was just thinking
because I definitely hear
Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman. I mean, it's just interesting strategy for him. Let's see how it plays out, man. Like, I love. That is like also one of my favorite Jason Bateman roles ever. I love Jason Bateman so much. If you're watching, I love you. But this is the other thing I really love about this is from Bad Kids Press, and let's talk about a new publisher that has yet to disappoint me with a single book. They've brought out so many great ones, and I don't know if I told you, but they created a wine for Frankenrocker and the Jailbait Punks. What? And I commented on it, and I was like, oh my god, you've created this Frankenrocker wine, and it's only available in Massachusetts. And I was like, but hello, like, wind down your weekend. And they were like, we thought of y'all when we made it.
Wow.
So, Bad Kids Press,
Sweet.
I'm always thinking about you, and I appreciate that you thought of us when you made your Frankenrocker wine. And if you want to send us a bottle, we will literally just talk about how much we love Frankenrocker forever, because we do.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
And send you money for the wine.
And send you money for the wine, of course, obviously, but also we will literally gush about Frankenrocker until they take us off the internet, because
We'll do a Bad Kids Press special.
right, and we'll just talk
Yes.
about, oh my god, because Stealing Oz, obviously I love it. You don't even have to talk about it, like how much I love that book, but I will.
Are they new?
So we have
New-ish.
seen, new-ish. We've had we had the Cheap Tricks and Frankenrocker and the Jailbait Punks and Stealing Oz, and now I believe this is the fourth title we've covered. I don't know if they had any other ones, but those are the four that I've seen in the last year and a half that we've been talking about them. Not a single one has been bad. They've all been fantastic and all covered different genres. Frankenrocker and the Jailbait Punks is Frankenstein's monster is a punk rock musician who gets him and his punk band in the 80s get brought to the future to fight off some aliens, because they're looking for the most vicious people in the world, and they show up at this punk show, and they're like, that must be what the most vicious humans is, these punk musicians. And then Stealing Oz is a sequel to The Wizard of Oz, essentially, but Dorothy and the Wicked Witch have merged, and they are now robbing everybody in LA. With other, and the Wheelers from Return to Oz are also in it, and they're crazy terrifying in Return to Oz, and so it's great to see them. And then the Cheap Tricks is your classic Western, but it's a grandma and a grandson, and he pretends to be the great saloon shootout guy, but it's really the grandma shooting from a distance. They're so great, everything. And then now you've got your wrestling book. All of them have great family dynamics. They all have wonderful storytelling. They all have great art, and they all have cardstock covers.
Are they kid friendly?
Nothing's been not kid friendly yet.
Yeah, I don't feel because there's no cussing in it, and
What would my 10-year-old be?
probably the wrestling one.
yeah, the
wrestling one.
first issue for the wrestling one is fun.
Yeah.
And Frankenrocker probably maybe, but I'd say maybe that's the only
Sounds
one.
like a comic more for dad.
Yes,
Yeah.
you would love Frankenrocker, which, I cannot wait for trades of Frankenrocker.
Because I don't think even Frankenrocker has any bad language or anything, but I think it wouldn't be enjoyed by kids as much.
Yeah.
Keep my eye open.
Yeah.
It was a great series. There's only 4 issues?
And I don't know that I don't think it's done. I think there's still more to come.
Oh, really?
It didn't seem like they didn't defeat the aliens yet, I don't think. Maybe they did. I can't remember. Either way, from Image Comics, we have The Last Barbarians. And this one it's kind of honestly, a new Red Sonja type of book. But this is a young girl who lives if you gave Red Sonja more of a story, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
But this is a young girl who lives in a world where you're kind of only allowed to specialize in one thing. And there's magic, and there's guilds for barbarians, and there's guilds for this. And she's look, I can do all of these things. I just kind of want to do whatever it takes to survive in this world. And she always ends up messing it up. And it looks so much more serious by all of the covers than it is, because it kind of has that humor to it of her I don't want to do any of these things. I just kind of want to do everything. It's the Divergent of the barbarian world, where she's good at everything and yet terrible at all of it. I really liked this character. I was 100% oh, I'm gonna love her wherever she goes. And like I said, it's kind of you do have if you blended the young adultness of Divergent with a Red Sonja kind of story, because she is fighting in that time period and she has those skills, but at the same time she's I just want to use all of the skills. And I like her friends. She's got this one friend who's constantly trying to help her make the right choice, and she's never actually going to make the right choice because she just wants to protect her brother and give them a place to live and a place to survive. And she ends up making some choices that everybody in the book tells her are bad, but it's issue 1. She's got to make some bad decisions to get to some good decisions, I guess.
Yeah, well, you definitely learn in this first issue that she is close to rock bottom in terms of not having work, not having a place to live, and I do enjoy it. There's a character in here named Hedgie, that's a hedgehog, and he's adorable. He's a great character.
This is the book that shocked me the most this week.
Really?
I saw this cover and I was like, I don't know, like I don't know if I'm really in for like a high fantasy book, and then it kind of wasn't at the same time, and I was like, oh, I'm totally in for what you actually created with these characters and everybody. It's almost like if you took, like you had like more of that Quest Aside kind of feel.
Yeah.
Not quite as like Always Sunny, but you still have more of that lightheartedness to your story than.
Right.
Again, how serious. This looks extremely high fantasy.
This is also not the main character.
Is this right? And it's not the main cover either, I don't think. Is it?
No, it's cover A.
Oh, it is cover A. Okay. But yeah, you see this and you're like, wow, this is going to be like almost a Frazetta level, like Viking, like barbarian, again, Red Sonja kind of story. And it's not any of those things.
Is that the main character?
I think it's supposed to be, but again, that's covered.
Because she's a redhead, and that looks very blonde to
that's
me.
blonde hair. This totally misleading cover.
Because they even make a joke about her being a redhead.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Totally misleading cover. This is one where I say don't judge the book by the cover and just jump in.
Yeah.
We are gonna go, oh my god, I don't know. Talk about Torrent. This is from Image. It is issue 1 of Torrent.
Yes, I gotta remember what this one, because I read this one.
Supermom.
Oh, yes. Yes, so this is the story of a mother, a wife, and a superhero. She has the name Crackerjack, which I thought was a weird choice for a superhero name. But in this first issue, she is out stopping a heist with another superhero named Slipstream. And they defeat them, and of course Slipstream's like, hey, we gotta team up, we gotta do more of this stuff, let's team up all the time. And she's like, nah, I'm not really interested, this is, I do this, but I've got other things that are important. And he is just like, yeah, but like I know everything about you, including your secret identity. And of course that's the one thing that you never want anyone to know, because you have to protect the people that are around you. We also get to see a wonderful interaction between her and her husband, and her and her daughter as well. This is a great book. It's gonna definitely have that wonderful family dynamic. It's gonna be one of those, let's take a hero and push them to the brink. Because the way this issue ends and the story that it sets up, I'm here for it. I'm not going to say what it is, but I think what we're going to get is one of those really solid superhero stories mixed in with the family dynamic. But I thought this was a strong first issue.
Yeah. Absolutely. This is one of those where I was like, everything in the second half of this book is a spoiler, because everything that goes, hits the fan, immediately in this book. This is one where they're like, we want you to know this character is pissed off. And we want you to know that they've had a lot happen to them, and they give you all of it in the first issue, and you're like, where's this gonna go? Kind of like Radiant Black, where you were like, in the very first issue, you were like, whoa, that's not, I didn't know we were gonna do all of that in the first issue, and we're gonna get there that far this fast. This is definitely another one where it's like, wow, that went really far really fast, and I'm emotionally connected to all of these characters now because of how fast you did that.
You had me at Radiant Black.
It is actually recommended by Kyle Higgins on the back.
Yes.
Just saying.
Oh.
Yeah.
New obsession.
From Blood Moon Comics, the most depressing book I'm going to talk to you about ever, possibly, is issue 1 of Stray Sheep. This is... I gave this to a customer this week, and I was like, I'm warning you, it looks like a horror book, and I'm assuming we're going to get to horror at some point in this book, but all you're going to have right now is a lot of sadness, and that is what you're going to get. This is the story of a man who is kind of, he's everything's fine. His life is fine. His job kind of sucks or whatever. He kind of seems happy at his job at first, I guess I should say. Everything's going well for him until the staple line where suddenly everything that could possibly be the most tragic thing you could imagine happening to a character, all of those tragic things happen at one time, and his whole world crumbles completely and totally. And I got a message back that was like, what the insert expletives from our customer who read it, because they were like, that was not what I thought this was gonna happen. Oh my god, I'm like tragically sad now. And I'm like, yeah, that is the opening of this book. So I don't know where this series is going. Again, I assume it's going to a horror environment of some sort.
Who knows?
But after the first issue, all I know is that a lot of really bad things happened to this person that I could never bounce back from as a human. So I have no idea how this character is gonna in any way, shape, or form bounce back from what happened in this issue 1. If this was a one-shot, I would believe you. But it's not. It's the start of the book. So if we talk about a character being at rock bottom, this one is like under the ground.
Yeah, way past rock bottom.
Way past rock bottom, and like there's nowhere to go. But hopefully up for this character. But I don't see how you could even come back positively. Well written. The book is definitely well written, because I was like, oh my god, that happened. Oh my god, you did that.
Yeah.
Like, the story is excellent. So if you are like looking for a really good story and you don't mind being incredibly sad, and that's your cliffhanger, is where the crap do we go from here? This is your book. But I mean, kudos to the creative team for making me feel all of those things immediately in this book.
Yeah. This one was hard to get through.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Also, I think that this is a book that should come with a warning label.
100% should come with a warning label.
Because I definitely think this could be something that has stuff that could trigger people based on possible, personal experiences of their own. So I think if you do come into the shop, ask Shannon ahead of time what is in this book before you pick it up, and she will gladly tell you.
I will gladly tell you
what all those things are, because obviously, we don't want you to leave the shop with a book that
it's going to trigger you.
Yeah,
and it's very strong for that, for sure.
Yeah, none of this stuff has happened to me, and I got done with this issue, and I was like in such a depressed state of mind. I was like, okay, I need to. I read this issue, and then I put on an episode of Steven Universe, because I was like,
happy afterwards.
I need a complete 180 flip from this just to get my mind on something else. But it is really well done.
It's well done. You wrote it very well, because you do get all those emotions from it. Yeah. And that's why it's like, yes, you need your warning, because it has all of it in there, and you feel it all because of how well it's done, but it is intense immediately.
And I think the art style pairs well with the vibe of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was really impressed with it.
Yeah. I mean, Blood Moon, I was always stepping it up every time. And speaking of Blood Moon, they have a one-shot out called 12.
I don't think this is a one-shot, is it?
I think it's listed as a one-shot.
It just says number 1.
I know, but I think
it makes sense that it
could
was
only be a one-shot.
But I also was thinking like it was going to go somewhere else, maybe.
Yeah, no, because there's nothing that leads you to believe that there could be any more.
I saw the number 1, so I was like, all right, this is going to be a continuation. Yeah, so this is 12. This is the story of a guy in the moments before being beheaded for killing a Duke and Duchess. And this is kind of the last moments, and of course we get to see what actually happens in the event that leads up to this here. It's really great because we get to see this man go through a plethora of emotions leading up to it. He wants to see his wife one more time. He kind of battles with what happened and why he's there and how he feels about that. But you also get to see like the guards spitting on him and beating him up and talking about how he ruined all of France by killing the Duke. And then this leads up to that moment and gives us everything. I
like it because it has an actual countdown. Like,
Yes.
because he's like, oh, I'm going to be beheaded at this exact time. And so he's like watching the clock. And every time he's telling us the backstory, like it clicks into like the next moment on it. And so you're getting all of these like, oh, and he's like, the clock needs to just hurry up. Like, I'm so tired of this clock dragging on. And you're like, no, because I feel like maybe like I have this hopeful moment. Like you're like building and like the tension's building and everything. But the clock is just striking down till this moment where like leading towards his beheading. And it's so good the way that they build tension. Like, they did a really good job in this comic of constantly building tension. Amy Jocelyn, who's a name I haven't heard and I hope we hear a lot more of, because she has great storytelling mechanisms that she uses in the story. So I hope we get to see more from them going into just Blood Moon comics in general, or more comics like even beyond Blood Moon, because Amy has some great storytelling mechanisms that they use in this book, and a fantastic one shot of just like, I wanted to, like you said, like I was like, oh, maybe we could go in a different direction and more stuff could happen, but then at the same time.
And that's actually why I don't think it's a one shot, because his reasoning for why he goes to the Duke, he asks a lot of questions that don't ever really get answered. So I think there is a possibility. I mean, you could end it as is, and I'd be like, perfect, solid. This was a great story. But I just like, I almost feel like the things that they hinted at, I was like, well, now I want to know.
You could get more. You could go
It's
back
possible.
and put more in there, but this is a great, especially if you like the French Revolution and you're like into all of the stuff that could go around there. This has some really cool elements of that.
Yeah.
Is it not common in the comic book industry for them to definitively tell you what
No.
the story is moving?
They don't like to tell you one shot. They don't ever define one shots for the most part in the comic book industry. They usually just label them as number ones. I probably could look it up right now and tell you whether or not it's a one shot, because on my ordering side it would tell you. But even then, like if I go in, it might just say like the name of the book, and it might not actually say one shot. There just wouldn't be another one to order. And so they're very bad at labeling one shots. It's the thing that retailers like are like, could we convince the publishers?
Unless it's Aftershock.
I don't know. Yeah, Aftershock has a cute name for them. They call them one shocks because it's Aftershock and it's all earthquake geared. Like their kids line is called Seismic Press. So Aftershock has have this whole earthquake geared thing. No, I think that they put the number one on it because a lot of people just know like I can start here. But I definitely
Number
think
one's a valuable, right? Usually.
a lot of people think so. Not always, but a lot of people do think so. Speaking of number...
Brigade from Image,
Yeah.
1992, not valuable.
Not valuable, no. From Keen Spot, we have issue 1 of Scorn. We talked about this. I actually mentioned this as one of the books that I was excited for people to pick up this week on the Live 5, because we don't see a lot of Keen Spot books that are ongoing series and that are actually a little bit more serious in the topic. We talk about Keen Spot usually for their parody books or their Kung Fu Legumes, the story of a being that gets superpowers.
Brilliant.
Feels like that's my book. But this is a story of a young girl who is kind of just, as far as we know at the very beginning, she is kind of just moving through this space town. She's helping, like partnered up with a friend, and she's kind of helping her deal with a lot of things that are going on in this town. And as the story unfolds, we find out that she is a kind of the long lost princess situation where we've got like, oh, I'm on the run and I don't want to go back to my kingdom, and now there's assassins after her and there's all these people coming for her, and she's like, look, like we find out that she has all of these mysterious powers and abilities and who she is. And what's really cool is we find out like why she's on the run. And again, I wasn't expecting Keen Spot to go with such a serious matter, because the reason she is on the run is for a my parents don't understand me situation that is very real in our modern society. And I don't want to give too much away as to like why she's on the run, because I think that it's a great moment where Keen Spot kind of reveals that, but we don't see a lot of it we don't see a lot of books that actually literally come out and tell you on the nose like what they're going to be about. This one does. This one, and Keen Spot does kind of gear towards that young adult kid market. And in this particular book, like, they do tell you flat out, like, this is why I'm on the run, and this is what my parents don't understand about me. And I think it's such a benefit to that storytelling, because you're not kind of hinting about it, you're kind of just getting it right on. But it is Keen Spot, so you still get a lot of the jokes that go with it, and things like that. So, again, not very often we see a more serious book from Keen Spot, but I think this does lend itself to possibly be one of those for us.
Yeah. I was surprised by this. I think I've said previously before that because Keen Spot is more of a parody book, like publishing company, I tend to not read their books. But then I learned with Kung Fu Lagoon that maybe there's a few of them I could read. But I was really impressed with this one. I kind of like a lot of the story and where it's going and how everything's going to play out. So,
and I like this character. Yeah. I like her a lot. So I'm really interested to see how her story plays out.
Yeah.
From our buddies over at Silver Sprocket, we have Rituals, and I know you love this art, so I'm going to let you talk about this.
Yes, this is really cool. So it doesn't have any words, but this is basically little vignettes of people getting ready. Their ritual for preparing to go out into the world, getting dressed, putting makeup on, and really you are just here for this art. I love this art. It is beautiful. It's great to look at, and I think it's a fun little concept. This is very much what Silver Sprocket likes to do is take these very artist-driven books, and not going to be your typical comic, but just something fun to pick up and look at. This is one of those that I would like set on a coffee table and just occasionally just flip through it very quickly, because you can flip through it in a couple of minutes, but it's just neat to watch all these different characters just kind of getting ready for their day. I definitely come in and just look at it.
Nicole,
Is each picture done by a different artist?
No, it's all Nicole. Nicole Go is her name, and they did such a great job. Silver Sprocket, if you don't know, Silver Sprocket is a small press comic publisher. But much like the way Dark Horse started, Silver Sprocket also has a comic book store, and so there is a comic book store in the Pacific Northwest.
That makes sense.
That is the home of Silver Sprocket, and they have all of their books there on site, like at all times. But then they also carry other non-corporate creator-owned titles. So even like some of the like Image and things like that's too corporately owned for them. Like they are as underground as you can get. So it's Silver Sprocket and then like some other creator-owned titles that they sell at the store. I'm so excited. Like it's on my bucket list of places to go. I'm
100%
freaking out about the fact that I get to meet not only like the manager of the Silver Sprocket store, but like the publishing side of Silver Sprocket is going to be at the retailer summit next week, and I'm kind of freaking out about the fact. I like already like messaged them and was like, I want to meet you. I'm so freaking out. Y'all are so cool. And we're going to talk about Silver Sprocket a little bit more for a pick of the week coming up soon.
You're going to let me talk about it?
Oh, the pick of the week.
We'll get there.
That one.
No, I know.
Okay, yeah.
You're going to let me talk about the other one?
I mean, I'll let you talk about the other one too. We're just going to talk about it in like the quick zone so we don't show too much of it.
Yeah.
We got 2 one-shots to wrap up our number ones this week. I'm going to talk about one because Phil will automatically hate it for reasons, but...
No, that's not true.
But we got a one-shot from Aftershock called I Found This in the Wall. This has actually been a delayed book, much like a lot of the Aftershock books, but this is that prestige format, which you do love.
I do love, yeah.
And this is the newest Cullen Bunn book, which is why I'm talking about it, not Phil. But this is the story of a man who his mother gets sick, and he takes care of her, and she ends up passing away, and before the story ever really even starts. And after that, he's kind of like, oh, it's finally time for me to live my life. So he goes out and rents a new house, and it's kind of the telltale heart from then on, because he thinks that there's this odor of like a dead body lingering in his house. And he kind of starts investigating where this dead body smell might be coming from. And at the same time, he's getting a job, and he's meeting new people, and things aren't really going well for him. He gets kind of a little crazier and crazier in the smell. He starts talking to the smell in the house, and he starts having conversations, and it's almost Psycho and the Telltale Heart mixed together, because he talks to the smell as if it's almost like the dead mother in the situation. Like, don't tell me who I can date and who I can't date. You can't tell me what I need to do with my life. And he's talking to the smell, and I really, in my mind, I added the word mother at the end of all of those conversations, because he's so Norman Bates about it. And you can tell that this is Cullen Bunn, like, really wanting to kind of do his own Psycho story, but not wanting to get sued for taking the Psycho story, but doing it through the smell in the wall of his house. And then the way it wraps up is almost kind of Ice Cream Man-esque. So, really, honestly, I'm telling you, like, you should pick this up. It's one issue. I think that's when Cullen Bunn does his best work, where he, like, isn't having to draw something out. He's been doing a lot. Like, recently, his new recent work is where he can just tell those one stories, like, really quickly. Obviously, Six Gun is his best work.
His Magnus Opus.
But this is a great story for those who are like looking for something that's a quick version of something like that, where it's like you get into it and you're like, oh man, where is this gonna go? And as it continues to go, you're like, this could not go in any other direction. Like, there's just nowhere else this could have gone. And then our last number one we're going to talk about in detail is from Opus Comics. Speaking of Magnum Opus, we have from Opus Comics a one-shot from Evanescence. My heart is broken. Nick is already cheering in the background.
Gave me a copy this week.
I did.
You know, if there was one band of all the bands that they have chosen to work with at Opus, it's got to be Evanescence. I mean, the storytelling in the songs alone, it's so easily, you can just make every single song on every album a different story. This is actually a really interesting story. There is a man who teaches all of his kids to be musical prodigies, and at the beginning of this issue, his new daughter is born, and she starts playing a piano while sitting in his lap, which is odd because it's like almost like the baby was just born seconds before,
right, you're not.
And he brings it out and it starts smashing on a piano, and I'm like, that's a
your little fingers wouldn't do that.
It started early.
Yeah, and so she becomes
A virtuoso.
Yeah, basically, one of those young piano prodigies. And she tours around Europe with her two brothers, and they play in front of different rich crowds. And at some point, when she goes to pick up a new piano for herself to get from her father, she meets a young boy, and in one night, they fall in love, and he's like, I'm going to marry you. I'm going to ask for your hand in marriage tomorrow. And yet again, I'm just like, you just met. How are these things happening so quickly? Now that I know it's a one-shot, it makes perfect sense. And you also find out that the father is, dabbling in the occult. And
whoa, what a turn!
Yes.
Right, don't spoil it for Nick. Don't show the end.
And well, then I don't want to tell the rest, because the rest of the story is centered around the occult
and things that happen.
But it is a beautiful story.
It is. I was not expecting anywhere that this story went, and it was fantastically done.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Also, I want to show the art on this second kind of small backup story. which is about somebody who is struggling with creating music again because of the loss of somebody. But the art in this little backup is beautiful. Look, these Evanescence comics, the art, the stories, they've all been really wonderful. I mean, that first series was pick of the week almost every time it came out. And I'm stoked for this one.
Who would have thought that Evanescence would be like the band to make comics? Like, that would not have been my guess. But
Amy Lee has always been a storyteller.
She's a storyteller, and these books prove that over and over again because they have all been so fantastic. And this one, like, it'll bring a tear to your eye. Like, you're gonna be like, wow, I really felt that.
Your heart will be broken.
Your heart will be broken.
Yes.
I'm very excited to tell Opus about how much people are loving. I can't wait to talk about Halloween and how I didn't know they were a band and embarrass myself.
Have we gotten the Guar one yet?
Z2 did Guar.
Z2 did Guar.
Z2 did a Guar graphic novel.
Yeah.
So if you need a
Ever
Guar,
find a copy of one of those?
I will order you one because it's
they're not. Yeah,
it's
I
available.
was super into Guar when I was a teenager.
Oh man, I will if I don't still have it in the store, because I did. If I don't, I will order you one, Nick. Oh my god. Because yes, Z2 did Guar. Z2 is the other music company that publishes comics. Theirs are all graphic novels, so they don't do individual
So there's two
issues.
separate companies doing the same.
Opus does individual issues, and then Z2 does graphic novels with artists. So like Poppy has done multiple with them.
They do a lot of hip hop ones.
They do a lot of hip hop. They did an Elvis one. They've had a couple. Ironically, Sumerian, which is a record company, has yet to actually break into doing graphic novels or comics with their musicians. But again, Billy Corgan writing some comic books is what I'm waiting for from Sumerian. Also, they do have Poppy now, so I would assume that we're going to get more Poppy comics from Sumerian and Z2 in the future.
We ever get 21 Pilots or Gorillas?
There was a Gorillas. Z2 did Gorillas as well.
Gorillas did,
That's my second favorite band.
I will see if that's still available because I just
Guar number one?
What? No. Pilots number one.
Really?
I've seen 21 Pilots in concert live 4 times.
Really?
Yes. They're amazing.
All right. There you
Interesting.
go. Well, we know Nick's pick of the week now. We're going to talk about ours. First up, which you haven't read any of this, I know.
I haven't, no. I didn't even know it existed.
Frank Miller has a publishing company with Dan Didio now, and so it's actually surprising that I'm going to say this. But Frank Miller is writing a book that Emma Kubert is doing art on. And if you read Inkblot, you know that Emma Kubert has been doing some great things and keeping up that family name. But there is a series coming out from Frank Miller Press, which is called Pandora. And the reason why I'm like, this is surprising to say is, so Frank Miller is writing a young adult comic book. Things I never thought would come out of my mouth. And not only is Frank Miller writing a young adult comic book, but Frank Miller is doing a great job of writing a book for kids and teens. And I would have never expected that, because when we needed comics to turn back to the dark side, we called Frank Miller in, and he created dark, like him and Alan Moore, really heavy on the darkness. And now Frank Miller is like, hey, let me bring balance to the force and bring you this beautifully adorable young adult novel in a comic form. But this is the story of a young girl who lives with her mom and her grandfather, and the mom owns a boarding house. And while the mom kind of just focuses on like the boarding house on an everyday basis, the grandfather tells her these stories of this like mythical world that exist around them, and it's kind of like, hey, stay out of this mythical world. And in typical YA fashion, she meets a boy in the woods who kind of tells her about all, like, doesn't understand anything in her world, and they have this beautiful set of moments together, and she finds this flower that's growing and wonderful, and kind of learns a little bit about this mythical world, and it kind of expands from there. If you've read a young adult novel, you kind of have an idea of where this may be going, but at the same time, it's Frank Miller, so I'm like, as much as I try to throw down predictions of where this is going to go, I feel like he's going to twist it in the next moment, and it's not going to be that. However, it has stayed like perfectly YA. It's pitched as a young adult book. You got Emma Kubert on art, and she's done some great kid and young adult books so far. It's just so good. It's so heartfelt and wonderful, and you know, Frank Miller Press has a lot. Like, he's brought back Ronin. He has Ronin Part 2 on his press. I think Dan Didio's doing the next book that's on their press, but this is Frank Miller doing a young adult novel. I never thought I would see the day where somebody like Frank Miller was taking on YA, and I'm so excited to see how well he's doing. This is the YA novel, like, turned into, like, tropes turned into a novel, a comic book, but done by Frank Miller, so it's such a good job.
Did you think in 2023 that you'd have a pick of the week with Frank Miller?
I never thought in any year that I'd have a Frank Miller pick of the week, but I'm so excited that, and every time I read it, like, people are like, oh, like, who's doing the Pandora book? And I'm like, it's actually Frank Miller. And again, I'm a young adult writer. I'm a young adult reader. I never thought that Frank Miller would be the person who could really get, like, that time period where we had, like, Twilight and Hunger Games and all of that coming out, like those now considered classics of the young adult universe. I never thought that Frank Miller would be the one that would hit into that market, but he has captured it so well in this book. And Emma Kubert's art is already perfect for the young adult world, so I'm so glad to see her on this book, and I hope we see more of this Frank Miller than even some of the, like, classic Frank Miller. Like, I don't need to see Frank Miller be dark anymore. Now I just want to see Frank Miller write these happy young adult novels that will probably have an ungodly amount of sadness in them, but I'm happy to see it either way.
As long as he never does Batman again.
You know, I don't think he will. He's got his own publishing company now. And Dan Didio's on it, and if there's one person who's going to tell you not to work for DC, it's probably Dan Didio. So,
I don't think Frank Miller would ever have any desire to go back.
I think that's kind of why they came together.
Yeah.
And you know Dan Didio lives here in Sarasota?
I did not.
Yeah. So there you go. So on our other pick of the week, let's just be honest, this will be a pick of the week anytime it comes out.
Yeah.
From Silver Sprocket, the now ongoing series, Everything Sucks. I'm so excited. We love the crap out of the one shot, and to know that now we're going to get an ongoing Everything Sucks, wonderful.
Is it considered issue 1?
It is considered issue 1 of the ongoing.
And there's even a letter from the creator in the beginning that's like, I can't believe you all really loved that one shot, and yeah, it's back.
It's back.
And what more could we ask for from Silver Sprocket? This is very much in the same vein as, like, Workaholics and not Rick and Morty, the regular show.
Oh, I love the regular show.
Where it's very much kind of like your I don't want to say losers. They're
lovable losers.
Yes, they are. You know, they're not really out there taking over the world or making big changes to it. You know, in this issue we have Noah and Kala, who we saw in the one shot, and Noah has decided that he is going to make his special grilled cheese sandwich, while Kala goes out to her ex-boyfriend to get a French New Wave movie because she wants to show Noah how bad he is with the history of cinema. And while Noah is working on his special grilled cheese, who he's showing to his cat, hoping,
as you would.
Yes, where he's like, look, you have to pay attention. Look, first you got to use butter. If you don't have butter, use coconut oil. And it's like, you got to pay attention. How are you going to be a chef if you don't know how to make this grilled cheese sandwich? And a stray cat outside starts meowing at him, and he goes outside to chase it off with the broom, and what ends up happening is the cats lock him out of the house.
And the cats take over.
While he decides to aimlessly wander around the streets of his town.
The grilled cheese is still cooking, mind you.
Yes. And so we also get to see Kala talking to her ex-boyfriend, and you know, of course, he's really sad, and what she ends up doing is steals one of his DVDs. And I love it too because he's like, you can't take these are Criterion Collection.
Yes.
And I have friends who are like that.
That's my husband.
Yes, like
Okay.
where it's like,
That's
oh,
your friend. It's okay.
and I like I've had friends in the past too where it's like, hey, can I borrow this? And they're like, wait, let me go dig out the bad DVD version. I can't have you take the Criterion Collection. I'm like, well, I kind of wanted the Criterion Collection because I want to see the bonus features. Like, I want to watch all the cool bonus features with it. And so she ends up taking one, and it's great too because she ends up taking the wrong movie.
This looks amazing.
It's so good.
Do I have to read the one shot?
No, they're not connected. However, but you
They'll
should
be
read.
episodic.
You
I'll be taking
should.
a copy of both.
Yes, I will put both in your
It
box.
reminds me kind of like the Amazing World of Gumball.
Yes, very similar.
very
as well.
similar.
But adult.
Still regular show.
It's
Yes,
the regular.
yeah,
it's
it's
100%. You
regular
could like
show.
sing this like regular show theme song at the beginning and dig it. The first one, the one shot is they are trying to go eat at a restaurant, but the restaurant is closed because somebody took a poop in the restaurant. And so then they are protesting outside the restaurant because you're not allowed to go through the drive-thru without a car.
As a
So
man who spent 12 years in culinary, it is incredibly accurate.
yes, so you will love it. It is amazing, and the one shot second print doesn't come with them. I'm sorry to say, but the first prints of all of the books do come with sticker packs. So there are stickers at the back of this book.
Wow.
And what are the stickers on this one?
It says there's 5 of them.
There is a Garfield Daddy sticker.
His cat reminds me of Garfield.
there's
I think that was the point.
In Love and Allergic cat thing. 9 lives to lose, and then an Everything Sucks sticker. I do not have first prints of the one shot, and I know Matt loved the sticker pack in the one shot. We don't have first prints of that anymore. I love this book so much. This to me is the representation of everything that is Silver Sprocket and why I will order everything that is Silver Sprocket till the day I
I
die.
find the coolest stories listening to you guys.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
we're all taking a road trip to the Pacific Northwest to go to Silver Sprocket someday and marvel at their greatness. Fantastic. I love it. And Everything Sucks. Good job. Way to exist. You make my life happy.
I need that sticker so bad.
What the proud parent of a beautiful cat who pisses on absolutely every effing
Everything.
thing. We'll just call it that. Yeah.
That's a great sticker.
Does Bonnie pee on stuff?
She doesn't anymore,
Okay.
but she does if I leave her overnight.
No.
So, like, if I go somewhere and the sun goes down and then the sun comes back up and I'm not back, she'll always pee on my bed.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, yo, you didn't come home.
How
What's
that?
up?
She does that because he's mad. Our cat does it when we piss her off.
Right, we're
Yeah.
all cat people here.
See, other than that, though, I spoil her like crazy, so she's usually an angel.
Pumpkin has only peed on our stuff. Matt and I had a convention every weekend of a month one time
Oh my gosh.
when we first opened as a store, and so we were gone every weekend, and we would be gone Thursday through Sunday, and we had just gotten Pumpkin, and we were leaving her. A friend was coming to check on her who she hated. And so whenever we would come back, every bag
Was
that
it
we
Nigel?
left down, no, it was pre-Nigel days. Every time we'd come back, we'd just like throw our suitcases in our living rooms when we still lived in our apartment before we had the store. We had the convention only store. And so we'd just throw our suitcases in the living room, and Pumpkin would get into a suitcase and pee in the suitcase. Like Matt's suitcase and my suitcase that I had from the convention days, like I won't even use mine anymore. And it's got like the plastic lining, and I cannot even clean it still to this day to be non-pumpkin pee smelling.
We love them though.
We do, and she's never done it since.
They're
She doesn't pee on anything since. But that was like how dare you? Like, she was new and she hated the person that was watching her. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry that you didn't know that she hated you, but she does.
So, as a cat lover, you'll enjoy this issue even more.
Oh, absolutely. All right. We've got a ton of additional books in stock. Some of actually are new ones. So they're all new ones. They all came out this week. But we have a number 1 in that the Masters of the Universe Masterverse issue 1 from Dark Horse. If you didn't know, like, Masters of the Universe are with Dark Horse, and this is all like post the Kevin Smith show.
Yes, Revelations.
Yes.
Which
So
was fantastic.
I've heard, and it's getting a second season soon.
I don't think it's going.
I thought it was.
I didn't see that news.
I don't know. Maybe it's
Cody's
not.
a huge Masters of the Universe fan. I might have to pick that up.
Yeah, these have been pretty good, and since they are tied into the TV show, then it is a lot of fun.
Yeah. House of Slaughter, issue 12. This is The Butcher's Return, part 2. This is volume 3 of House of Slaughter, which is the spin-off of Something That's Killing the Children. This is back to Tate Rumble on writing. However, they did not bring Chris Sheehan back on art, so, you know, you made your choice. But this is what happened with Jace as an adult. So if you follow that issue 1 story of Jace and Aaron, not to be confused with Jason Aaron, but Jace and Aaron, this is the continuation of Jace's story from that. From Black Mask, this is issue 12 of Destiny New York, which is all about what if all of the kids who had a prophecy about them, like your Percy Jacksons and your Harry Potters and all of those, went to a special school to help them figure out how to solve the prophecy and deal with it. But our main character completed their prophecy at age 11, is now kind of like stuck in the school, like, what do I do with my life? From Image Comics, issue 5 of Three Keys Comics, which is about a group of girls who have to stop the destruction of the universe. From Marvel, we have Marvel Voices Wakanda Forever, issue 1. This is our Black History Month Marvel Voices. We do them for all of the key months and events in historical culture. From DC, Batman Beyond the White Knight, issue 8. And I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping up the White Knight storyline.
Yeah, I think 8 was all that they went.
I think that was what it was. I think it was book of 8 of 8.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was it.
Avengers Forever, issue 14. Everybody thought this ended at 12. Guess what? It's still going and it's still happening. Danger Street, issue 3. For you Tom King fans, but more importantly, to Lady Cop fans. The return of Lady Cop.
It is about time, DC. I need more. Give me the spin-off Lady Cop series.
And
I need it.
I'm happy to say we finally got an issue, the first appearance of Lady Cop in. And
what are the odds?
I also would like to tell you that I no longer have it because it's in Phil's box. So good luck. You have to fight him to the death.
Here's the thing. What's crazy is that has been a key that I've been wanting for so long.
And then the book came out, and then the book came in. I was like, wow,
like
Danger Street is out. And then, like...
Trade you a free escape room film.
If you can tell me the story of Lady Cop, that
I've
one
always
issue...
been interested.
If you can tell me what that one issue is about, you can have
You
it.
guys actually could be friends and just have a Lady Cop date. And talk about... You could teach him about
Can we
Lady
dress
Cop.
like Lady Cop?
Oh my god, please do.
Dude, you've seen my suit. I'm down.
Captain Marvel issue 46 is out, and this is your Planet of the Apes variant. And if you didn't know what that means at Marvel, that means we're getting Marvel Planet of the Apes coming back. Marvel is going to be taking on the Planet of the Apes licensing, and we will be getting a Marvel Planet of the Apes
Does that mean
series.
we're getting a movie reboot?
Probably.
Wait.
Everything reboots, but we are definitely
They're
getting...
rebooting it?
I don't know,
Did they
but
wrap up their
Well, that
reboot
was
with the
Fox.
last one?
Yeah.
it was Fox, and Marvel owns Fox now, so...
I enjoyed it.
I did
I
too.
love those
They
movies.
had Tom Felton in them, so I'm
Woody
Tom Felton.
Harrelson.
Yeah, sure, that's it.
Yeah, I enjoyed those movies. I don't really
They were
know.
very well
I don't
done.
really know if we need more Planet of the Apes comics.
Well,
though.
we're getting them
Another
because Marvel
decade,
has the
maybe.
rights.
I'm gonna read them, but
I don't know if I needed them.
Peach Momoko.
But Peach
Captain Marvel,
Momoko- well-
Planet of the Apes cover.
It's everything all in one. And Peach Momoko is doing all of the Women's History Month variants next month. So if you are a Peach Momoko fan and a fan of female comic book characters, you are going to get a Peach Momoko.
they should have made
comic.
Captain Marvel in ape form.
No, it's the Scarlet Witch was awesome because there's all the
Make
apes.
them all ape versions of the characters.
They have the apes coming out, Scarlet Witch and the Scarlet Witch one, and she's using the Scarlet Witch magic
That's
against
cool.
them. It was dope, and I doubt I have any.
Does that mean we're gonna get like a Planet of the Apes crossover with Marvel characters?
No, it'll probably be
Oh,
like
thank
Alien
God.
and Predator, where they stay separate, but you get the series.
Like I don't want like Thor showing up randomly.
You're
in
not
Planet
gonna.
of the Apes
I
comics.
doubt you'll ever because
Who
nobody.
owns Planet of the Apes?
Apparently, Marvel now, Disney because they own
here
Fox.
we go. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
That's what I'm saying. I don't.
It's a Fox property
don't-
and Disney owns it. You're
Okay.
getting a Marvel comic, but they won't cross over.
Here's
Because
the
they
thing.
haven't crossed over with Alien or Predator yet either.
Marvel.
Here in the multiverse somehow.
If you want, I will allow Kraven the Hunter, and that is it.
Mm.
No other character. Kraven the Hunter can be in.
That's fantastic, actually.
That is it.
Oh man, put Phil in charge of writing that because I want that crossover.
I would
now.
write that. I would write that.
I think it'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of people writing books, Ryan Utley on Hulk issue 12. We've got Fantastic Four number 4. This is an Alex Ross cover, which if you didn't know, Alex Ross will be signing at CGC and has a limited number of signings. So if you want to get an Alex Ross CGC signed comic, you need to get your submission to Matt ASAP so he can make sure he makes it in time for the Alex Ross signing. Speaking of, do you know who the other one is that they just announced? Dave Gibbons. Get your Watchmen books into Matt immediately because that's also a limited signing and it's freaking Dave Gibbons! Oh my god. Okay. Anyway, I'm gonna just geek out. If Dave Gibbons, when you come to Sarasota to sign, we're only 15 minutes away from CGC, maybe 17 with traffic. If you want to come by Bat City, I would love to meet you. Yes, please plot that. Murder World Moon Knight issue 1 is out this week, and I love this cover. I think it's fantastic. Monica Rambeau Photon issue 3 is out. Did we all see the teaser poster for the Marvels?
I didn't know there was a teaser.
Yes, and
April showed me just this morning.
it's got the higher, faster, further tagline at the top, and it's Kamala on the bottom, Carol in the middle, and Monica at the top. Woo! I'm stoked! Oh my god. Invincible Iron Man back again for issue 2. Lovecraft Unknown Kadath, issue 6 from Ablaze Comics. Issue 11 of Marauders from Steve Orlando and Marvel Comics is out. Gunslinger Spawn 17. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Part 5 from Dan Slott and Mark Bagley, like the Spider-Man team, I guess.
Yeah, they're coming back from what I hear.
Yeah, people are digging that series for sure. And I love that cover with the him stripping apart in the colors.
Yeah.
Star Wars issue 31. This is the Black History Month cover with Lando on the cover. Star Wars Bounty Hunters issue 31 as well with another Black History Month cover. A book that I really, really need to dive into, and I am failing myself every day, is Al Ewing's Wasp. Issue 2 is out this week. Super excited. Marvel Voices Wakanda Forever. I already brought this, but I had to also throw this cover in because I just love this cover, and I know those of you who are specking on it, this is your spec cover. Ninja Turtles issue 137 is out this week. This is part of the Armageddon game. We're going to talk about it in a second, but we do already have a trade for the first part of the Armageddon game.
Already?
Wow. Icon versus Hardware, issue 1 from the Milestone DC Universe. Also from DC, we have Batman Incorporated, issue 5. Speaking of fantastic covers, Spider-Man The Last Hunt, issue 4. Look at this Maria Wolf variant. You're going to have to zoom in on this for a second because Maria Wolf was like, hey, let me show you how I comic. And it's so good. Speaking of Kraven, the freaking hunter, I almost said a bad word. Because I know it's me this time, but that cover is it's so intense. I Am Batman issue 18. This is one of the few Future State covers, the titles that are still going on. Wildcats issue 4, Matthew Rosenberg, very excited to be writing The Grifter right now. Batgirls issue 15, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad and Jorge Corona still going strong on this.
Nice.
Mary Jane and Black Cat issue 3, Jed McKay. If you liked either the Mary Jane series that came out recently or the Black Cat series that Jed McKay wrote. This is Jed McKay kind of taking on both of those characters at the same time. It's a part of your Dark Web storyline, but it's continuing outside of that, which I'm very excited to see because I thought it's going to just be for Dark Web. Nightcrawlers issue 1. This is a part of Sins of Sinister. If you didn't know, Sins of Sinister is an event that's going on right now. It started last week with Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants. That's it so far, so you're not lost. If you haven't jumped in, you can still get Storm and the Brotherhood of Mutants, and then you can jump into Nightcrawlers. Star Trek Resurgence issue 4. Resident Alien Book of Love issue 4 of 4. This is the end of this. This is a whole new volume of Resident Alien. If you didn't see the show, it's got Alan Tudyk in it, but there's also
The show was amazing.
there you go. Well, I mean, Alan Tudyk was in it.
Oh my
That's
god,
all
that
you
show
need
is
to
so
know.
good.
Really? I haven't watched it yet.
Dude, gotta give it a try.
Shirtless Bear Fighter volume 2 issue 7 out this week. If you haven't read Shirtless Bear Fighter, it's hilarious. You gotta check it out. Image is getting close to, I believe, wrapping up the 30th anniversary celebration that they've had going on. But this is issue 10, and it's an anthology. It's got some stories from Scotty Young. It's got an ongoing from Jeff Johnson, Andrea Moody in it. It's been great. Check it out. And then Walking Dead issue 57. This is the Walking Dead Deluxe. This is the reprint of Walking Dead, but in color. So if you missed out on buying those issues of Walking Dead when they first came out, you can now get them in color. And then also from Silver Sprocket, we have the return of Fun Girl in Vulva Viking. This is an 18 and up, obviously, title, so that's why we didn't talk about it in detail on the show. But if you've never read Fun Girl, it is freaking hilarious. She is a great character, only for the adults, so we're not going to go into detail on it. But both of us would have probably put it in Picks of the Week just for the hilarity of it.
I mean, I didn't even know it was out this week. But it was in the pile, and so of course, while they were setting up, I was like, I'm gonna sit down and read this, and I laughed hysterically the whole time.
I've never not laughed at Fun Girl.
Yeah.
She's great.
Yeah.
And if you're an adult and you're over the age of 18, you should grab a Fun Girl book and check it out, and this could be the one for you because it's all of it. They're always like mini graphic novels essentially. One shots if you would, and they're always hilarious. I'm always up for Fun Girls Adventures. And then, whoa, it happened. We finally got it. Issue 2 of Swamp Thing from Hell. I have been waiting. Green Hell, just kidding. Also, I Swamp Thing, my brain went to Alan Moore. And this is Jeff Lemire, not Alan Moore at all.
With Doug Monkey
on art. Oh my god, this is a Swamp Thing team that you could kind of like, if you could pull two people together and make a Swamp Thing
There's
team.
a 2-page spread in there that's real boring.
Do you want me to look
it's
for it?
late night.
You
Yeah,
should totally show it. It's
you should show
fantastic.
Also, a lot of those prestige formats that
Oh.
rolling off lately. Has anybody invented a way to properly display them yet?
No, we called them
I
I mean, it's essentially the treasury format for the modern
I just
time.
want to show this.
And
I'll try and find the other one.
you know, for everybody who's like, oh, I don't want to buy prestige because I don't know where to store them, they store really well sideways in a short box.
That's why I tend to stay away from them. As soon as they invent a proper way to store them.
Put them in your short box, but put them sideways. And you can do a whole. We have them in the store. It's you could also get a magazine size short box. They can store in that. Oh my god, that's gorgeous as well. But this is it's Swamp Thing. It's the story of a dad and a daughter who live on an island, and it's kind of post-apocalyptic, and they're kind of like, what do we do now that our world, like, we're stuck on this island and people keep coming and taking all of our resources. And you know, when the world gets complete and total crap, Swamp Thing will be there for you. And when the world gets complete and total crap for your family, Jeff Lemire will write a story about it. And Jeff Lemire started this at the same time as doing May's book, and I think that's probably why we had a little bit of a delay. But May's book was about a dad who was searching for his daughter. One of the most beautiful stories. Definitely will make you cry 1,000 times over. And at the same time, he started this, which was a dad and daughter in Swamp Thing's world, kind of in need of Swamp Thing to save them. And we had a delay for so long that they made a second print of issue 1 just because they figured nobody had issue 1 left to sell. For issue 2, it's been about a year since issue 1 came out. We have the second prints of issue 1. We now have issue 2. Issue 3 is already slated to come out like next month. I'm so excited. It's such a good book. If Jeff Lemire writes it, you should buy it.
Yeah, I agree. I also feel like Swamp Thing is one of those characters that has a lot of really beautiful stories.
100%.
And is a character that you need to read as much as humanly possible.
There's not enough Swamp Thing. Of all the characters that we're not giving enough credit to in the DC universe, Swamp Thing and Zatanna.
He was pretty funny in Harley Quinn.
I think that'll change, though. I think we'll see more
of course
Swamp
we
Thing
will,
coming
'cause
down
James Gunn
the
is gonna do it.
road.
Speaking of Swamp Thing, we have trades in stock, and we have volume 3, the final volume of Ram V Swamp Thing right here, the 11 through 16. The issues we weren't originally promised. Originally, it was only supposed to be 10 issues. Ram V got the go-ahead to extend to 16. This is that volume 3 that he wasn't originally slated
Also, I loved this series because it is not Alec Holland.
It's not Alec Holland.
It
It's
is
a new Swamp Thing.
which is super cool.
And he can go in and out of being Swamp Thing, and it's all family dynamic, and it's Ram V doing what Ram V does well. Oh, so good. Like I said, we have the Opening Moves Armageddon Game trade paperback. So if you missed Opening Moves for TMNT and the Armageddon games, and you're like, I never bought Armageddon game stories because I don't know what happened in the opening moves of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, here's that first volume. You can catch up. Rockstar and Softboy go to space. This is Cinna Grace. This is an Image comic / trade. This is Cinna. What does it say? In space, no one can hear you scream. Yes. Rockstar and Softboy are kind of the precursor to the Killer Queens. If you read Killer Queens on Dark Horse from the amazing David Boer, if you read that, you miss Rockstar and Softboy. This is another team of roommates who are both gay, and they are both very proud of it. And in this particular issue, they end up with amazing boyfriends who own, their last name is Venue. And in this trade, the Venue brothers own literally every venue ever. And Rockstar and Softboy are superheroes, and they start dating the Venue brothers, and Rockstar makes an offhanded comment in an interview quoting Beyonce, and it is taken completely the wrong way by his Venue brothers boyfriend. And so they break up with them, and the Venue brothers blacklist Rockstar and Softboy from every venue in the world because they own every venue because they are the Venue brothers. And Rockstar and Softboy are like, the only thing we can do is go to Mars. And Softboy and Rockstar are like, oh, well, we have to talk to the mom, because the only thing you can do is talk to the mom, and the mom lives on Mars, or the moon, and so they go to the moon, and they're talking to the mom, and she's like, if you can find my liaison to handle all this for you, I will gladly deal with this for you. And the liaison, they meet, and they start to name the liaison, and they stop at La, because as they explained to you, copyright infringements would stop them. So they decide instead to refer to the liaison as Mother, because she is a beautiful, wonderful queen for them all, and they cannot refer to her by her real name, but they can refer to her as the mother of all the monsters, as it were, in space. And they talk about Fame and her disco stick and all of the other things to let you know who this liaison actually is, if you didn't catch it immediately from the design of this character, which you definitely will when you see the book. And Rockstar and Softboy need to rely on their mother in space to solve their problem for them. It's fantastic. It's great. There is even a nod to the Killer Queens in there, where they're like, somebody comes up and is like, hey, I need you to save my planet. And they were like, why don't you go to Killer Queens? Their books sell better than ours. It's so great. Cinna Grace just throwing it all in there in an amazing way. And then lastly, for our trade paperbacks, a little movie called Ant-Man Quantumania came out this weekend. So many people have come in and asked me.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp
Quantumania.
But it should have been called Ant-Man.
Because you forgot that Wasp was in the movie. Just saying.
I'm seeing it Wednesday.
But if you want to know who Kang the Conqueror is, he is everybody. Everybody is Kang the Conqueror. Ukla the Muck will explain it to you if you need more description. But if you want to read about it, it's right here in the saga of Kang. it's here for you to tell you all about it. This is a great way to learn who Kang is. And it features, what does it have in there?
It has Fantastic Four, number 19, Avengers 8, All New, All Different, Avengers 13, Avengers from 2016, 1 through 6, Avengers Back to Basics, 5 and 6, Moon Knight Annual 1 from 2019, Symbiote Spider-Man, King in Black 1 through 5, and Timeless number 1.
What do these usually go for?
This retails for $44.99.
It's
Not bad.
essentially the same as an Epic collection because it has
Not
those
bad.
20, probably about 22 issues. And it's
It's a
10%
thing.
off if you
Yeah.
buy it at Bat City Comic Professionals. So you can come by the store this week and pick it up. You cannot come by Mysterium. They will not have it in stock, but you can come by Bat City Comic Professionals. You just come by Mysterium and do an escape room because it would be super fun.
You can gladly purchase it and come and share it with me, though.
Yeah, if you bring it while you're doing your escape room, you could like Nick read your copy of Kang to learn about it. So I'm sure he'd probably throw you a discount just for letting you read your copy
Absolutely.
of the book.
Especially Monday through
Thursday when you bring your Bat City receipt, you save 20% off your escape room experience. There are a lot of comic books in stock this week. I'm not going to be here, so I feel bad for Matt as I read all of this because they're all of my favorite books, and he's going to have to be as excited. No, I'm going to do.
Oh.
For those of you at home, I will be processing all of your comics on Tuesday, and then Matt will be running the store Wednesday through Saturday without me. So come in and talk about all of these books with Matt and tell him why you love them. But we will books out this week. Back to Fairytelia issue 3. Vigia from Band of Bards issue 2, Saga number 62, Something That's Killing the Children 29. You can definitely come in and talk to Matt about that. Monstrous number 43, Ice Cream Man 34, Scorch from Spawn Universe 15, Junkyard Joe issue 5, Damn Them All issue 5, Gargoyles issue 3 out this week, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers versus TMNT issue 2 volume 2 number 3 is out this week. Once Upon a Time at the End of the World issue 4 is out this week. Expect for me to just call that a pick of the week when we get back on Sunday. Blue Book number 1 from James Tynion is out this week.
With Michael Avon Oming art.
It's probably going to be a pick of the week. Let's just say that right now. Black Cloak number 2 is out this week. Radiant Pink number 3. Darkwing Duck number 2.
Nice.
Spawn Unwanted Violence number 2. Lovesick number 5. Oh my god, Domino, what's going to happen to you? Specs number 4, which is the end of Specs.
What?
Wow,
It
already?
is the end of Specs.
Ah.
Chris did a whole post about how hard it was to convey all of the emotion in 4 issues. Inferno Girl Red number 2 for my Radiant Black people. Local Man number 1. Plush number 4. Ronin volume 2 book 2 from Frank Miller Press. Earth Divers number 5. The Ones number 4. Boogeyman number 6. A Blaze Don't Break My Heart. Becoming Frankenstein number 6. Unwanted number 3. Year Zero Volume 0 number 5, Vineyard number 4, Voyages number 4, Deadmaw number 4, it is a number 4 week, Liquid Kill number 1, Ninja Funk number 4, Banshees number 1, which I'm very excited to see what happens with that. Forever Forward number 5, that's got to be a wrap up, and I cannot see how this ends well for anybody. Godfell number 1 from Vault, Dead Seas number 3, Phantasmagoria issue 5, finally Kilchola number 2 from Scout Comics, Nature's Labyrinth issue 4. We finally have a new Eternus as well from Scout. Pink Lemonade number 6, just drop it in your picks of the week right now because I know I am. Bulls of Beacon Hill number 2 from Aftershock. My Bad number 4 from Ahoy. Red Shift number 6. Holy cow, did you forget that book was coming out? Probably, but here it is. Purple Oblivion number 4. First Bones number 3. Coin of Judas number 2. Barbaric Hell to Pay, which is volume 3 of Barbaric issue 2. Hellboy and Love number 3. Plus the return of Superman, the new series starting up with issue 1, and the wrap of Superman Space Age from Mark
Nice.
Russell, volume
Which,
3.
funny enough, I was going to mention I saw My Bad is on that list.
Yes.
I actually just listened to a Mark Russell interview, and he said that all of the stories, or most of the stories in My Bad, were actually pitches to DC that got turned down. those were all his pitches for DC stories, and they were like, no. So he just went to Ahoy and said, hey, can I do them all here? And they're like, absolutely.
Sounds like second coming all over again. Mark Russell, one of my favorite comic book writers. Easily, hands down, one of the best modern writers. We once again drink Freak Show Cab Sav tonight, brought to you by the release of Freak Show The Escape Room, which will be coming to you in 2.5 to 3 weeks at Mysterium Escape Rooms over in Sarasota, Florida, which is we've been blessed to be guest at tonight. This has been such an incredible experience. Check out this amazing wall behind us, handcrafted, wonderfully done. They have some awesome escape rooms, Tiki Trouble, if you want your Hawaiian experience, your vacation that you have to solve your way out of, or if you're me, just lock me in there and leave me there. Area 941, your alien escape room, your Wild Wild West saloon escape room, and of course, like we just said, Freak Show coming to you soon. It's terrifying. It's wonderful. It has more integration than anything I've ever heard of. As
3 times the integration of my next closest sister.
Oh my gosh. And a live actor. Thank you so much, Nick and Mysterium, for having us. We're so excited. This is our first ever on location.
I know. It feels weird.
It does. I'm like, if I forgot something, it's gone. I don't know what it is. And thanks for Matt for making it happen on location in the moment. And thank you, Bat Fam, for watching. We love it. Again, like I said, I will not be here this week, but Matt will. So all of your books will be ready and exciting for you to go. Matt is super excited to hear about all of the books you love this week. I will still do a live vibe for video for books that are coming to you this week, and we will be back next Sunday. I will be here with Phil to talk about all of the books that we love this week that I'm gonna read in like 12 hours or less next week. Woohoo! Fingers crossed. Thank you for joining us as we wind down your weekend. Have an amazing week and happy reading. Bye bye.